Angie Martin never imagined a single kiss could spiral into chaos. At her husband Wayne's holiday work party, his boss, Gabe Weston, offers a dangerous bargain: a single kiss for a paid day off for Wayne. Angie hesitates, but Gabe's smooth charm is impossible to ignore. Soon, innocent glances and quick encounters turn into secret hotel meetings. Wayne, completely unaware, trusts his wife. But for how long? With each choice, Angie slides further down a path that could destroy her life, her marriage, and Wayne's career. Little does she know, this game of betrayal is just beginning. Angela Martin was unsure what to make of Wayne Van's story when she first met him. He didn't seem like the kind of guy she usually liked. Her older sister Connie kept hosting casual backyard barbecues, which she claimed were friendly gatherings with neighbors and friends, but Angela suspected there was more to it. Connie seemed set on introducing her to someone new, particularly someone different from the guys she usually dated. Sure, her friend Gloria and she had a wild past, but who hasn't had a little fun? Why does society call a man experienced, while a woman with a similar history is labeled negatively? All I'm saying, Angie, is give this guy a try. Wayne may not be as wild as you're used to, but he's dependable. You could use some stability in your love life, Connie joked. To hear you talk, you'd think I've dated every guy in town. I may have had my fun, but I'm not that bad, Angie retorted. Don't get me started, Angie. I'm not even talking about the crazy things you did in college with Gloria. You both made sure no guy around you went home without some fun. No, I'm worried about your dating life since then. It seems like you focused more on dating than anything else. Believe it or not, Gloria has settled down. She's married and trying to start a family. She has a good job in Salisbury. I might catch up to her soon. I'll believe it when I see it. I can't remember the last time you went on 2 dates with the same guy. Yeah, I get it, Connie. Just because you found your path doesn't mean I have to follow you. I do plan to settle down one day. I just wasn't thinking it would be today, Angie replied. I understand, sis, but this guy is different. People say he's honest and loyal, which is rare these days. Plus, he's not hard to look at either. You might miss your chance if you don't talk to him tonight. There are other women here who would love to catch his attention. Fine, you've persuaded me. I will talk to him, but only if you promise to save me in 15 minutes if he's not as charming as you say, Angie insisted. Deal. 15 minutes, but promise me you'll keep an open mind about him. Okay, I promise. Are you happy now? I'll be happy when I see your wild ways come to an end, Connie said. Forget you, Angie laughed. Connie introduced Angie to Wayne and then stepped away to give them some space. True to her promise, Connie checked on them 15 minutes later to see if Angie needed help. Angie assured her that everything was fine and sent Connie off with a smile. Connie chuckled as she walked back. It seemed that Angie had taken quite a liking to Wayne. He had a great sense of humor, was direct but gentle and not at all loud. Angie kept trying to find any flaws in him, but he was just so open. This honesty was a breath of fresh air for her, and she felt at ease, unlike her past encounters where things felt different. Surprisingly, they did not talk about romantic topics that evening, which was new for Angie. She knew she was attractive. Many men said she resembled a famous pro golfer. She took pride in her appearance, but didn't feel the need to show off in front of Wayne. As the evening barbecue was winding down, they didn't realize how much time had passed. It felt like just moments had gone by. Connie made sure they weren't interrupted all night, giving their connection a chance to grow. Before saying goodbye, they exchanged contact information as Wayne politely wrapped up the evening. He called her 2 days later, and Angie was excited to talk. They began dating and discussed almost every topic under the sun. They agreed on many things, which surprised her a little. Soon enough, Angie went from liking Wayne to truly caring for him, and eventually, she fell in love. Angie proudly shared that she was the CFO of Henderson's, a jewelry store that mainly served high-end customers. She earned a good salary and had a flexible schedule. Wayne was also proud of his job as a machinist at Hyatt Engineering and Associates. Although he didn't have a college degree, he was happy with his decent pay and the chance to move up in his job. After discussing their jobs and incomes, Wayne asked Angie, "Does it bother you that you earn more than I do? I mean, it's not really an issue for me, but I don't know how important it is to you that the man you want to be with earns more than I do." Trying to choose her words carefully, Angie replied, "You silly man. Do you really think I care about that? Differences in our incomes don't matter to me. All I ask is that the man I want to be with shares everything with me, including our money, so we can pay our bills and expenses together. I believe in sharing everything. Does that answer your question?" I couldn't agree more. Besides, there's a lot of room for me to grow in my job, so I might catch up with you one day. But if you're not worried about our incomes, then neither am I, Wayne said with a bright smile. Angie couldn't help but feel a deep love for him, happy that his pride wouldn't come between them. Though Wayne said he didn't mind her making more money, deep down, she still wanted success for him. It took Wayne 6 weeks to finally take a step toward closeness. Angie felt relieved by this, as she had been wondering if there was something wrong with her, or if he had heard about her past and was hesitant. They soon discovered how well they fit together, like two perfect pieces of a puzzle. Everything felt natural, and their connection was deeper than any past relationships she had experienced. When she felt a wave of happiness, tears came to her eyes. Wayne looked surprised and worried, asking, "What's wrong, honey? Did I mess up our time together?" She gazed lovingly at him and replied, "No, you silly. Nothing's wrong. Everything is so perfect. I never knew it could feel this way between a man and a woman. I thought I understood love, but you've opened my eyes to something deeper. For that, I will always be grateful," she said as she hugged him tightly. After that day, they rarely spent time apart. They enjoyed every moment together, feeling a strong connection. Wayne couldn't believe how lucky he was to be with such a beautiful woman. Wherever they went, she caught the attention of others. They often double-dated with her sister Connie and her husband Dale, as well as his older brother Roland, and his wife Melody. Both sets of parents were happy to meet their children's significant others. Angie felt a concern that lingered in her mind until she finally found the courage to bring it up. They were sitting at a quiet table in a nice restaurant when she took a deep breath and said, "Honey, I really feel lucky since the day we first met. I can't imagine being happier than I am now with you, and that says a lot. But there's one thing we haven't talked about much, and I want to address it now." "What is it, sweetheart? You can talk to me about anything." "I know. And that's one of the many things I love about you. Do you remember when you mentioned our different income levels?" "Yes, I remember. Are you saying it's a problem for you now?" Wayne asked, sounding a bit worried. "No, not at all. It's just that this is a little hard for me to bring up. Usually these things get talked about early on, but since you haven't, I thought I'd just mention it." "What are you trying to say, Angie? You can ask me anything." "You're so kind. Let's just get to it then. We haven't really talked about our past relationships before we met. After our first time together, we both know that we had some experience before meeting each other, but we don't know the details of each other's past." Wayne gently placed his finger on her lips and said, "Let me interrupt you. I was with a few girls before we got together, but none of it could compare to what we have. You are my one and only. I've heard some things about you too, but honestly, it doesn't matter. Our pasts are behind us unless you're saying someone from your past means more to you than I do." "What? Oh God, no, not at all," she replied, shocked. "Good. Then we can put our pasts behind us and focus on the present and our future together. How does that sound?" "Wayne, you're amazing." She hugged him tightly, feeling a huge weight lift off her shoulders. Her past no longer felt like a burden, and instead, she felt a sense of freedom. At that moment, Wayne surprised her again. "I've been waiting for the perfect time, and I can't think of a better one than now." He slid out of his seat, knelt down, and said, "Angie, since I met you, my life has become so much better. You have helped me become a new man, one who wants to make you happy and proud, and one who wants to spend my life with you. Will you marry me, Angie?" She couldn't say yes fast enough. Both families were thrilled and welcomed each other as new members. Later, when Wayne shared his proposal story with his best friend Brandon while asking him to be his best man, Angela listened in and heard Brandon say, "Wayne, I need to tell you something as your friend. I've learned some things about Angela since you started dating. I don't want to hurt you, but I think you deserve someone better." Wayne quickly replied, I get what you're saying, and if it was anyone other than you, I might be angry. But I know you mean well. I've heard things too, but I really believe she has changed. We want the same things and share the same values. I hope you can support our relationship. Now, with that said, will you be my best man? Angela felt emotional hearing Wayne stand up for her. No one had ever defended her like that. All her doubts faded away. She was completely his. 9 months later, Wayne's best friend Brandon stood by him as his best man, while Angela's close friend Lisa served as her maid of honor. Angela had wanted Gloria to be her matron of honor, but she understood Gloria needed to be with her mother, who was having heart surgery that weekend. Wayne's brother, Roland, made sure their car stayed safe from the decorations. Along with paying for the wedding, Angela's parents gifted them a week-long stay in the U.S. Virgin Islands, while Wayne's parents provided spending money for their trip. They gratefully accepted both gifts and enjoyed a lovely honeymoon. When they returned, the newlyweds rented a convenient 1,800-square-foot house with the option to buy. They planned to save money to purchase it later and looked forward to their future together. The house was perfectly located between their jobs. The only change Wayne asked for was regarding Angela's personal grooming. She had kept hers trimmed, but he preferred a more natural look. Although keeping it trimmed was more comfortable for her, she agreed to let it grow out for him. And please him, it did. He enjoyed being close to her and appreciated the special ways she showed her affection. Eventually, she learned to embrace her natural look because it made him happy, but she also tried to keep things neat. Hyatt Engineering and Associates was a growing business that focused on custom designs, engineering solutions, and developing prototypes for everything from improved parts to special machines. They had made a name for themselves, and clients from 6 nearby states came looking for their help in product development. They were so busy that they operated 2 shifts and were even thinking about adding a third. To treat everyone fairly, new employees like Wayne had to work 2 weeks on the first shift, from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., followed by 2 weeks on the second shift, from 3:30 p.m. to midnight. Angie understood Wayne's schedule, and even though she didn't like him working the second shift for 2 weeks, she never mentioned it to him. Her employer, Henderson's Jewelers, always held their Christmas party 2 weeks before the holiday because that was their busiest time of the year, and planning closer to Christmas was too challenging. She was disappointed to find out that Wayne's second shift hours would keep him from attending the party with her, but he managed to switch shifts with a coworker so he could be there. She was very excited and wanted to introduce her new husband to her coworkers. To help him make a good impression at the party, Angie arranged for Wayne to get a haircut with her regular stylist. Without him knowing, she picked out 3 hairstyles in advance and asked the stylist to have Wayne choose his favorite. He was reluctant to go, but agreed to please her. When the stylist showed him the 3 options, he quickly rejected them all and asked for just a simple trim. The stylist seemed to agree, but she decided to style his hair in the way Angie preferred without telling him. When she finished and turned him to look in the mirror, expecting him to like her work, he was clearly upset. He held back his feelings but asked her how much he owed and paid without leaving a tip. Afterward, he went to his usual barbershop and had his hair completely redone to his regular cut without any extra styling. They had to wash it thoroughly to remove the previous style. Wayne wondered why Angie wanted him to look fancy for the party and why she made arrangements without talking to him first. When he got home, Angie noticed his hair and asked why it wasn't styled like the 3 options she knew about. He told her none of them suited him, so he just got a regular haircut. He didn't mention that he had undone her plans. She felt a bit let down, but didn't say more because she didn't want to upset him. Still, he was curious about her earlier decisions. As they got ready for the party, Angie handed him a tuxedo and said, "Here, sweetie. I know you've been busy with work, so I rented this for you. I think it's your size, and I can't wait to see you in it." Wayne was taken aback as he looked at the tuxedo and then back at her. "Is there a problem? Did I get the wrong size?" she asked, noticing his surprised expression. "Honey, I don't remember you saying this was a formal event. Why didn't you tell me earlier?" Wayne replied, feeling uneasy. "It's not really formal," she clarified, "but many of the men usually wear tuxes. I'm so proud of you, and I just wanted everyone to see how handsome you look tonight. That's all." "So, You'd be embarrassed if I wore my regular suit, is that it? He asked. Oh, of course not. Don't think that way. I'm proud of you no matter what. I just thought since it's the first time you'll meet my coworkers, it might be nice to make a good impression. I know you'll look great. I get it, he said softly. Well, I hope your coworkers aren't too disappointed to see their friend's husband looking ordinary. Oh, don't be silly. I'm sure I'll have to fend off the women. Now let's finish getting ready so we can leave on time. At the Hendersons' Christmas party, Angie introduced him to many people whose names he wouldn't remember. He smiled politely but noticed only 3 other men in tuxes, and they were all in upper management. When they finally sat down with another couple at their table, one of her coworkers asked Wayne about his job. He was about to say he was a CNC machinist, but before he could speak, Angie jumped in and said he was the go-to troubleshooter for key programming projects and kept things running smoothly. He smiled and kept quiet because it was her party, and he didn't want to make her look bad in front of her coworkers, especially since she had embarrassed him earlier. He wondered if she was embarrassed by his job situation. Was that why she wanted him to wear a tuxedo? Did she want people to think he was in a high position at work? Angie was cheerful and very happy after the party. Everything had gone just like she wanted. On the way home, she tried to talk to him, but he told her he needed to focus on driving to be safe from any drivers who might be careless. He didn't say much. When they got home, she quickly changed into something nice to create a romantic ending to the night. But Wayne brushed her off, saying he didn't feel well and that something he ate didn't agree with him. He tossed his tuxedo onto the floor carelessly, changed into his boxers, and climbed into bed without even giving her a kiss. Disappointed, she said goodnight and hoped he felt better in the morning. She wondered what he could have eaten, thinking they had both eaten the same things that night. The big Christmas party at Hyatt Engineering was coming up with a live band, set for a Saturday evening just 5 days before Christmas. After showering and getting ready for the event, she walked into the bedroom and saw her long black dress lying on the bed. "Sweetie, why did you get this dress out for tonight?" she asked. "Well, I thought since you picked out what I should wear to your Christmas party without asking, I should pick something for you too," he replied. "Wayne, I realize that I shouldn't have done that without asking you first. I'm sorry. While this dress is nice, it's better suited for church than for a fun Christmas party with music and dancing." "I see. So what's good for you isn't good for me, is that it?" "That's not what I mean at all," she replied. Then she took out a new red dress she had bought just for this occasion. "This one feels more festive, and I really want to look my best with you tonight." She quickly put on the dress for him to see. "Don't you think this one is better for dancing?" He had to admit it looked good on her, though he knew it would attract a lot of attention from other men, too. "Of course it would," he said. "Since you're going all out, why not just skip the dress and go straight for something even more daring? Seems like you're aiming for attention anyway." "Oh, stop being silly," she replied, laughing. "I just want to look my best for you tonight, and it's a lot easier to dance in the red dress than that long black gown. Besides, I didn't say anything to you about wearing a tux. That's because if I wore a tux, I'd stand out among all the other folks there. It's not like that fancy party of yours. It'll just be everyday people like me. But if you're set on wearing that short dress tonight, go right ahead. Just don't ask for my opinion on it, all right?" "Well, if you feel that strongly, maybe we shouldn't go tonight," she teased, hoping he'd change his tune. "Works for me now that you mention it. We could stay home, order a pizza, and enjoy a quiet night in." "Men, is that all you ever think about?" she said, smiling. "I'm looking forward to putting faces to all those names you've told me about. We made plans, so we're going, and we're going to have a great time." "Yes, ma'am," he chuckled. Wayne proudly introduced his blushing bride, Angie, to many of his coworkers and their families. Angie was simply glowing, standing out with her bright red dress that was both festive and eye-catching. While he was proud of her beauty, he felt a bit uneasy knowing she was catching so many admiring glances. He imagined he'd be hearing plenty of comments at work after tonight. Wayne had only seen Gabriel Weston, the vice president of operations, a couple of times before the night of the party, so he was a bit surprised when Gabe approached them, introducing himself along with his wife. "Hello, I'm Gabe Weston from the management office, and this is my wife, Andrea." Wayne shook Gabe's hand and replied, Nice to meet you, Andrea and Gabe. We've never officially met before, but I'm Wayne Van Story. I've seen you around the plant now and then. This is my wife, Angie. We got married just 3 months ago. Angie stood there, taken aback. Gabe had a rich, deep voice that made an impression when he spoke, and he was very charismatic. Along with his strong voice, he had the kind of good looks that caught people's attention. In her younger days, Angie found herself drawn to men like Gabe. He was exactly the kind of guy who made her heart race. Gabe started the conversation. Angie, I feel like I've seen you somewhere before. Oh, I remember. You look just like women's professional golfer Paige Spiranak. You could be her twin. Maybe she should be a little jealous of you. Angie felt a warm blush spread across her cheeks as she briefly shook his hand, aware of the way he looked at her. She had experienced that look many times before. It felt thrilling. You're very kind, she replied, knowing she had heard this compliment often. She thought Wayne seemed oblivious to the flirting, but he was aware of it and chose not to show it. After all, Gabe was an important figure in the company. Andrea, Gabe's wife, watched with a frown as her husband flirted with Angie right in front of her. When Gabe noticed her expression, he graciously said, "It's been a real pleasure meeting you both. I've seen your husband expertly manage those machines. We're lucky to have him on the team. I have to make the rounds tonight, so I can't stay too long. I hope to catch up with you both later. Enjoy your evening, and Merry Christmas." With that, Gabe and Andrea mingled with others. Angie felt nervous around Gabe. He was just the type of man who made her heart flutter in the past. She tried to keep her distance from him as the evening went on. Wayne noticed her hesitation and encouraged her to be friendly to his boss, reminding her that Gabe could affect his career. Angie found herself in a difficult spot. She was thrilled to receive attention, especially from someone as handsome and charming as Gabe. If she were single, she might have made a move, but her heart was committed to Wayne, and nothing would change that. As the evening progressed, Angie and Wayne danced, soaking in the festive spirit and having a great time. Angie didn't show that she felt butterflies from her earlier encounter with Gabe, but the feeling lingered. "Honey, why don't you go get us some more drinks while I visit the restroom?" "I really need to go," she said. "Sure thing, babe," Wayne replied, and headed to the bar. As Angie left the restroom, she nearly bumped into Gabe, who was coming out of the men's room. With his charming smile, Gabe said, "I feel very lucky, Angie, to meet you again tonight. I'm not sure I could say this when I first met my wife, but you are truly the most beautiful woman here tonight, and that includes my wife." Angie turned a shade of red again. It seemed like she often blushed around this charming man. She had just cleaned herself up, but she felt flustered again. Remembering her husband's advice to be friendly, she said, "You always say the sweetest things to me, thank you. And I must admit, you look quite nice tonight as well." Gabe had a sudden idea and felt he had to act on it right away. He smiled at her and said, "I just thought of something. Your husband Wayne, right?" "Yes, Wayne Van Story." "Got it. As you might know, I manage Wayne and the others. Right now, the schedule has Wayne working late on Christmas Eve. Has he told you about it yet?" "Yes, I'm not happy about it, but I support my husband and his efforts to improve at his job," she replied earnestly. "Exactly. I can see how supportive you are. He is lucky to have you backing him. That's what I wanted to discuss with you." "Me? Why do you want to talk to me?" He gently touched Angie's arm and led her away for a quieter chat. "Listen, how would you feel if Wayne could have all of Christmas Eve off with pay and no problems at work? Would you like that?" "Yes, definitely. I was really looking forward to spending our first Christmas together, and an extra day off would help a lot. But how would you do that? Do you know who makes the schedule?" "Actually, that's me. If I find a good reason, I can make that happen. I promise this is all above board." Angie looked a bit unsure and said, "Go on, I'm listening." Gabe gently held her hand and she seemed surprised. He was happy to still have that effect on someone. "Angie, I want to be straightforward with you. From the first moment I saw you, I thought you were the most wonderful woman I've ever met. I know you're a loving wife, and Wayne is incredibly lucky to have someone as lovely as you by his side. All I'm asking for is one kiss. Just one. Think about it before you decide. A kiss is not cheating. It's just a gesture. I'm sure you kiss family and friends all the time, but this one little kiss could mean a full day off for your husband with pay and no issues. If nothing else, you'll see that I'm a person of my word." If you give me a quick kiss away from everyone, I promise you'll give your husband a chance to take a break and spend the day with you however you wish. Doesn't that sound like something to think about? Angie really wanted to say yes. In her dreams, she imagined being swept off her feet, but of course, she would never do anything like that. Not wanting to seem too interested in his words, she smiled and said, "Let me think about it for a bit. Is that all right?" "Of course, Angie," he replied with his deep voice. "But don't take too long. Right now, it's 9:10 on my watch. At 9:30, I'll be waiting at that back door for your answer. If you say yes, I'll let you choose the timing 30 seconds, no more, no less. I promise to act respectfully and keep my hands on your face. If you decide not to come, then no worries. We can forget this ever happened. Sound good?" 9:30, she said. "I understand. I can't promise I'll be there, but I'll think about it." They exchanged smiles and walked back to their tables. Angie felt conflicted. Part of her thought that a kiss was not a big deal, but she also didn't want to risk her relationship with Wayne. That was what mattered most to her. During a break from dancing, Angie asked her husband, "Honey, are you sure you have to work on Christmas Eve? Is there any chance you could switch with someone or take the day off, even unpaid?" She was trying to see if there had been any news at his work that Gabe was trying to use to his advantage. "I'm afraid not, babe. We have a lot of orders right now. Many of our clients want to spend their leftover budgets before the year ends, so we get a surge in orders. We've all been told to avoid asking for extra time off. Just like in your jewelry business, it's our busiest season, too." Frustrated by his response, she thought about her options. She decided it might be good to ask some more questions before making her choice. At 9:29, she mentioned needing to go to the restroom again and would be back soon. Gabe was happy that she came back, but kept his excitement hidden. "I just have one more question before considering your offer," she said. "Please," Gabe nodded. "My marriage is the most important thing in my life, and I love my husband with all my heart. I'm only thinking about your idea because it could help him, and that's what really matters to me. How can I be sure you won't record our kiss and later use it against me? How do I know this won't get back to Wayne? Convince me. You must think I'm terrible. There's no way I would do that. I'm at risk, too. My wife must never find out. I have 2 young kids who mean the world to me. You can check me if you want. I have no recording devices. If you don't feel safe here, we can go somewhere else. I felt something special with you earlier. I can't explain it, but it's a strong connection that makes me want to share a simple kiss with you. Wouldn't it be nice to spend that whole day with your husband? Wouldn't it be worth it?" "Okay," she said reluctantly. "Just this once. When it's over, it's really over. Agreed?" "Agreed. And no other chances or expectations. This is one time only. Are you okay with that?" "I wouldn't want anything else. I expect your complete privacy as well." He gently held her face and the kiss began. He started slowly, their lips touching softly. Then the warmth grew stronger. Angie felt herself react, and her knees wobbled a bit as Gabe held her tighter. Their kiss grew more intense, with a playful connection that felt magical. It was as if the rest of the world disappeared. Angie could only hear his breath and the soft sounds between them. As the light around her faded, she focused only on his eyes, which flickered between being closed and locked onto hers. She felt herself become one with Gabe. Their kiss consumed her, stirring deep feelings inside. She struggled to keep her balance and finally asked, "Was it everything you imagined?" "No, it was more than I thought. I promised I would honor that. Wayne will get his day off. Trust me. Thank you for such a warm embrace. Merry Christmas, Angie. Now let's return to our loved ones, shall we?" She turned back to Wayne and gave him a gentle kiss on the lips. "Thank you for being you," she said playfully. "If you take me home right now, I promise to make it a night to remember." "Well, what are we waiting for?" Wayne replied, excitement in his voice. "Let's go." Angie kept her promise, and Wayne felt completely fulfilled. Neither of them mentioned her chat with his boss. On Monday, when Wayne got home from work, he happily shared, "Honey, you're not going to believe this. It's the strangest thing. Remember meeting Mr. Weston at the Christmas party on Saturday? It seems I made quite an impression on him." "Old man? Wayne, he doesn't seem old. He looked about our age." "What? Oh, that. Well, we're 25 and he's at least 32, so he is a bit older. Anyway, that's not what I meant. Today, right before quitting time, Harold, my supervisor, gave me a note. It's a short letter from Mr. Weston telling Harold to make sure I have all of Christmas Eve off from work, with pay. Can you believe it? He thanked me for my hard work and said it was a special Christmas bonus. Angie shed a tear of joy. She learned that Gabe was a man who kept his word. That's amazing, sweetheart. I knew you'd catch their attention eventually. You're too dedicated for them not to notice you. If you ask me, you really deserve this. Now we can visit some family for the first time as husband and wife. This is going to be the best Christmas ever. And it truly was. Gabe wanted to make another move while the moment was right. He thought of a way to see Angie again and hold her close. New Year's Eve was only a few days away, and he had a plan. Just before his 7:30 dinner break, Wayne's supervisor, Harold, called him into his office. "What's up, boss? Is there another emergency order we need to deal with today?" "Actually, no, Wayne. Nothing like that," Harold replied. "I was planning to take my wife out for dinner and dancing on New Year's Eve at the Greens Supper Club on Silver Avenue. You know the place?" "Yeah, I've heard of it, never been there, but I've heard it's nice. I'm sure you and Deborah will have a great time," Wayne answered. "That's the thing, Wayne. I won these tickets in a raffle back on Valentine's Day for a special New Year's Eve dinner and dance. It's all paid for with champagne and a limousine. It's a romantic deal. But I found out that Deborah has made other plans for us to go out of town to see her family. I didn't want to change her surprise. At least it didn't cost me anything. I thought I couldn't find a nicer person to give these tickets to than you. Do you think you and your wife might like to use them?" "Are you serious? That's amazing, thank you. Angie will be so happy. We'll celebrate New Year's with some important people. I really appreciate you thinking of us. If there's ever anything I can do for you, Harold." "No need to mention it. You two just go and enjoy yourselves." "We will. Thank you again." Wayne was so excited that he called Angie during his dinner break to share the good news. She was just as thrilled. After hanging up, Angie wondered if Gabe would be there and if he had anything to do with this. They dressed up nicely and took a luxurious limousine ride to the fancy supper club. Although their table was small and tucked away in a corner, the food was delicious. While they toasted with sparkling drinks, Gabe surprised them by coming over with his wife, Andrea. "What a nice surprise. It's great to see you both here," Gabe said with his deep voice. "Honey, you remember Wayne Van's story and his lovely wife Angie from the Christmas party, right?" Andrea smiled and nodded. "Yes, of course. He's the hard-working guy you've talked about, isn't he?" "Exactly. With his effort and the right support, he can really go far in the company." Wayne got up and said, "It's good to see you both, too. We didn't expect to meet anyone we knew tonight. This is our first time here. Mrs. Weston, I could easily mistake you for his daughter." "Oh, that's so sweet. Angie, make sure you hold on to him. He's definitely a keeper." "Don't worry, Andrea. I'm not going anywhere." "Actually," Gabe said, "we have a table for 4 right over there. It's one of the best spots in the place. Why don't you both join us? We insist, don't we, Andrea?" "What a great idea! We'd love to, wouldn't we, Wayne?" Angie said cheerfully. Wayne felt a bit surprised and annoyed that she accepted without even asking him first. But it would be rude to refuse his boss. The waiters moved their things to Gabe and Andrea's table, and they chatted happily while finishing their meals. It was clear to both Andrea and Wayne that their partners were very focused on each other, hardly looking anywhere else. The evening's entertainment came from a live orchestra that played lovely dance music, along with a local singer who performed popular show tunes. After Gabe and Wayne danced with their wives for about 30 minutes, they all sat down to take a break. "Isn't this great, Wayne?" Angie said. "I'm having a really good time." "Me too," Gabe replied quickly. "I just had an idea. Why don't we make the evening more fun by switching dance partners for a few songs? I bet Andrea would love to dance with a strong guy like you, Wayne." "Are you comfortable with that?" Angie asked shyly. "I guess so. We're here to celebrate, right? So let's enjoy ourselves," Wayne said, wanting to keep the mood light. With that, Gabe stood up and held out his hand to Angie, who happily took it and ran off with him, laughing. "You know, we don't have to do this if you don't want to, Wayne." "I understand," Andrea said after a moment. "Don't worry. I'd love to dance with you. You're such a wonderful person." The third dance was slow, and Wayne noticed that Angie had her head resting comfortably on Gabe's shoulder, as if it always belonged there. This night wasn't going as he had hoped. While they continued to dance, Andrea saw him looking at the other couple. I know what you're thinking, and honestly, I'm not happy about it either. I keep Gabe close, but he does his best to break free. What do you mean by keeping him close? Wayne asked. I've caught him being unfaithful to me twice before, and I foolishly took him back each time. If it weren't for our 2 kids, I would have left him long ago. Cheated on you? Gabe? Yes. Just look at him. He's handsome and has a way with words. That's how he won me over. But I learned the hard way that charm and looks don't guarantee honesty. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I'm sorry, Andrea. I don't know how I would handle it if Angie was ever unfaithful to me. It would break me. You're stronger than I am. I doubt that, Wayne. From what I've seen, you're a good guy with a lot going for you, and you seem loyal. I wish Gabe was more like you. You don't think he is interested in my wife, do you? It's very possible. If he hasn't done anything already from what I've seen tonight, I think it's only a matter of time. But he knows that if he messes up again, he's out. He must really like Angie to show her off like this. But why would he be interested in my wife? We just happened to run into you 2 tonight, right? Wayne, I'm sorry if you think that, but you were set up. But how? Wayne asked quickly. Gabe doesn't know I overheard him talking a few days ago. He was on the phone with Harold, your line foreman, right? Yes, but... I heard him ask Harold to grab the tickets for the gala tonight and get them to you in a sneaky way. Then Gabe helped Harold come up with a story about how Harold ended up with the unusable tickets. It was just a trick to get you and your wife here tonight. I'd bet everything on it. The problem is I can't prove it yet. That's why I'm watching closely. My instincts have been buzzing all night. This news really upset Wayne. If I can ask, how did you find out about him cheating before? How did you confirm it? Oh, that. When I had strong suspicions, I used my secret weapon. What kind of secret weapon? My brother is a private investigator. He always believed Gabe was no good and was ready to find proof. Each time I felt he was being unfaithful, I had my brother gather the evidence I needed for a divorce. The first time it was with a married neighbor. I forgave Gabe, but her husband didn't, and he divorced her. She kept the house, so I made Gabe move us away from her. I understand, Wayne replied, taking it all in. The second affair was with a single mother from the plant, she continued. He used perks like bonuses and extra vacation days to win her over. That's just how he operates. They had an affair for almost a year before I started to suspect something. After that, I paid close attention to everything. I'm glad we have this chance to talk tonight, so I can warn you to stay alert. I don't know for sure, but given how you ended up here tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to influence your wife in some way, like with bonuses or promotions. Have anything like that happened to you lately, Wayne? He was furious and nearly boiling over. Andrea, I don't want to be rude and cut you off, but did you see where they went? I can't find them anywhere, and after what you just told me, I'm worried. I'm sorry, Wayne. I've been so focused on you that I lost track of them, too. What should we do? Andrea asked. Why don't you go back to the table and wait there? If they come back before I do and ask about me, just say I went to the restroom. That way they won't think we know anything. As for me, I'm going to look for my wife. I'll be back soon, I hope. Okay, Wayne. Just make sure they don't see you. Don't worry. I'll handle it. Wayne quickly looked around the ballroom again to make sure they weren't there before heading to the restrooms. A quick check showed that Gabe wasn't in there, so he stopped a woman going into the ladies' room and asked her to check if his wife was inside. 30 seconds later, she came out empty-handed. Knowing this, Wayne hurried through the hallways and nearby rooms but found no one. He started to think they might have left the building, which didn't seem right. He went through the kitchen and down a hallway away from the big freezers. Then, around a corner, he spotted them. He peeked through a small opening in a door, believing they wouldn't know where he was, thinking he was still dancing with Andrea. Wayne felt his heart sink. He saw them sharing a kiss, not just any kiss, but a deep one. Gabe's hands were on his wife's dress, and what really upset him was that Angie had her hand too close to Gabe. He could tell who they were, and even though he could recognize her voice, their words were too quiet to hear. Wayne stepped back about 20 feet from the door and called out, "Angie? Honey, are you back here?" He knew she'd recognize his voice and panic. He was curious to see how she would explain what they were doing. Suddenly, he heard a door close. Wayne quickly moved to the hallway he had seen them in and found another door that led outside. He opened it carefully and peeked out just in time to see Gabe with his arm around his wife, hurrying her along towards the front entrance to avoid being seen. Wayne rushed back to the table where Andrea was waiting. He took a few deep breaths to calm himself, not wanting to create a scene in the fancy place, especially one involving his employer. "What did you find?" Andrea asked. "I'll tell you later. Don't look at the entrance directly, but they should be coming in the front door any second now. Pay attention to them when they're halfway back to the table. I want to see how they explain where they were," Wayne instructed. "Okay, I understand." "I won't say a word," she said. As Gabe and Angie reached the table, Gabe quickly gave some information to avoid any questions. "It was a false alarm," he said. "We were dancing when one of the staff told me a car alarm was going off in the parking lot. They thought it was my car." Angie added, "Since we were together, I walked with him to check if it was ours. It turned out the alarm belonged to someone else." Then they both sat down like nothing had happened. Wayne was heartbroken. For the first time, he realized his wife had just lied to him in front of others. He couldn't pretend to feel okay, but he didn't want to show what he knew just yet. He thought if he confronted them now, they might hide better next time. He put his head in his hands at the table. "Honey, what's wrong? Are you okay?" Angie asked Wayne. "No, I'm not okay. I feel really upset, to be honest. I'm sorry for ruining the evening, but something I ate might not be sitting well with me." "Do you want to lie down for a bit? I'm sure we can find somewhere quiet for you to rest," Angie offered. "You can stay here with the Westons if you want. They'll make sure you get home safely. I'm headed home to rest in my own bed." "Don't be silly, sweetie. I want to stay with you. Let's get to the car. I'll drive. Andrea and Gabe, thank you for a wonderful evening. I'm sorry we won't be able to celebrate the new year with you, but I need to take care of Wayne." "Yes, thank you, Andrea, for a nice evening," Wayne echoed. Then they walked to the car and drove home. Angie tried to get him to talk, but Wayne stayed quiet the whole way. His mind was racing, shocked that his wife would lie to him so easily. He wondered if she had already been with someone else or if they were planning to be. He didn't know, and it was driving him crazy. He realized he needed to act like nothing was wrong. It would be a tough task, but if he didn't, they might hide even more, making it harder for him to find the truth. Wayne pretended to have an upset stomach that night, and Angie believed him. New Year's Eve was on a Monday that year, and most places were closed the next day. Angie spent a lot of time that day trying to make Wayne feel better. He wondered if she felt guilty or if she was trying to make it up to him. Although he wasn't feeling his best, he made it seem like everything was fine. Tuesday was back to work after New Year's. Wayne thought it was odd to be called into the office at 9 a.m. that day. He was directed to the accounting office, where Margie greeted him unexpectedly. "Oh, hi, Wayne, and Happy New Year to you." "Thanks, Margie, and the same to you. Is there an issue with my pay?" "Actually, there is a pay issue, but it's a good one," she said, handing him an envelope. As Wayne opened it, she continued, "I have updated your last pay statement to include a $1,000 end-of-year bonus. The approval just came in this morning. It seems there was an oversight. So it will be added to your final paycheck from last year. Congratulations," she added cheerfully. Wayne felt uneasy about this news and wondered if it had anything to do with what he had seen between his wife and his boss the other night. He asked Margie, "Can I ask how many other employees received an end-of-year bonus?" Let me check." She looked at her computer. "I believe it was a total of 5-4 in management, and you. Mr. Weston really values you. He asked me to do this personally first thing this morning." With his suspicions growing, Wayne felt a sickening churn in his stomach as he thought about what his wife might have done for this bonus. Then an idea came to him that might disrupt their plans. "Margie, could you adjust my paycheck to show my regular earnings without the bonus? I'm not trying to create more work for you, but this bonus would push us into a higher tax bracket, which would cost my wife and me a lot more in taxes. We're already close to our limit." "Sure, Wayne. I completely understand. Besides, you're not required to take the bonus. I appreciate your choice. It will help the company save money. Give me a moment to roll it back and print your original amounts." With his adjusted pay stub in hand, Wayne wondered if Angie would bring up the unexpected bonus. If she did, it would mean she had really betrayed him, so he thought it would be best to keep quiet about it. Angie knew she couldn't ask him directly, but when she checked his things and saw his pay stub, She was very upset and called Gabe from her office the next day. "I thought you said you were honest. Is that you, Angie?" "Yes. I feel so misled by you." "Misled? What are you talking about? I promise you my word is as good as ever." "Well, I'm looking at Wayne's pay stub right now and there's no bonus at all. At the New Year's Eve party, you promised he would get a $1,000 bonus if we showed affection while kissing, and I believed you." "Listen, Angie, I don't know what happened, but I truly made sure he was supposed to get that bonus. It should have been added to last year's pay like I mentioned. If Margie made a mistake, that could cost her. Give me a few minutes to look into it and figure this out. I'll call you back shortly, okay?" "All right, Gabe. Thank you. I know mistakes happen. Just let me know what you find." Gabe called Margie to ask about Wayne's bonus. She told him that Wayne chose not to take the bonus and explained why he made that decision. He thanked her for the update and said he was just checking on it. Gabe reached out to Angie soon after to share what he learned. "But that doesn't add up, Gabe. Wayne doesn't handle our taxes. I do that myself. I've never mentioned us possibly moving to a higher tax bracket, so why would he turn it down?" "Angie, do you think he might suspect anything?" "Oh no. Do you think he knows? But how could he? I promise I haven't talked about you to him or said anything inappropriate. He hasn't acted like he knows anything either. I'm worried, Gabe. Wayne means everything to me. This can't be real." Take a deep breath, Angie. Think. You're sure Wayne hasn't shown any signs he knows something? Has he acted any differently toward you? Angie took a moment to remember their recent moments together. "No, he hasn't changed at all." "Good. Maybe we're overthinking this. Perhaps he has a good reason for not wanting that bonus. Let me ask Harold to talk to him about it. I'll make sure Harold keeps it unrelated to me when he speaks to Wayne. This situation might be totally innocent, and we both need to stay calm until we have a real reason to worry. Can you do that for me, Angie? I'll reach out as soon as I can. Oh, nice thinking using your work phone to call my work phone. It keeps our personal phones safe." "Yes, Gabe, but I'm still anxious until I hear back from you. Please be quick." "You got it. I'll call you soon." Gabe then asked Harold to talk to Wayne about the incident casually to see what Wayne would say differently to someone else. At lunch, Harold sat with Wayne. This was normal for them, so Wayne didn't think anything of it. After chatting about their work, Harold finally brought up the topic as smoothly as he could. "Oh, by the way, Wayne, I saw Margie today and she mentioned hoping you were okay with how your year-end bonus was handled. I didn't say much to her, but what does she mean?" "Oh, it's nothing really, Harold. I was just fixing a mistake," Wayne replied carefully. He remembered that Harold had misled him before about the dance and dinner tickets, so he thought this was a sign that Gabe wanted to know why Wayne had turned it down. This just confirmed Wayne's suspicions, but he didn't want to create trouble just yet. "A mistake? You think getting an endo-fear bonus is a mistake? I didn't even get one. What's up with that?" "Harold, see, I found out that I was the only employee besides management who received one. I believe I do my job well, but there are many others out there, including you, who deserve a bonus just as much as I do. It didn't seem fair to accept it while everyone else I work with went without, so I chose to turn it down." Harold shook his head in disbelief. "You're joking, right? I thought these kinds of people didn't exist anymore. I bet any other guy on the line, including me, would have taken that bonus and stayed quiet. But not you. You're too honorable. Wayne, my respect for you just went through the roof. I've been a bit upset that you seem to be the favorite at work, but now I see why. You have integrity, and I'm proud to call you my friend." Wayne shook Harold's hand. From now on, he decided to pay more attention to his wife and Gabe. Gabe then got back to Angie, who felt relieved to hear the explanation. Like Harold, they both grew to respect a man who truly valued integrity. Even so, they both agreed it was best to take a break and be careful about looking for any signs from either of their partners that something was wrong. Wayne would reach out to Andrea whenever he felt suspicious, and he had asked her to do the same. When he told her about their spouses sharing a passionate kiss on New Year's Eve, Andrea was ready to get her brother involved right away. But Wayne wasn't sure that anything had gone further than what he had seen. Angie treated him the same as always, maybe even a bit more kindly. He didn't want to take any action until they had a solid reason. Andrea agreed to wait, but kept her brother informed so he would be ready. Neither Wayne nor Andrea showed any signs of suspicion, so Angie and Gabe felt a bit more relaxed, thinking they were in the clear. Several months passed without incident, but in the spring, Hyatt Engineering hosted a company picnic at a section of the city park. There were many outdoor games and activities for families. Angie cheered for her husband as he played softball with his team against another. It was then that Gabe came over and sat next to her, cheering along with her. Hearing his deep voice made her heart race. "Hello again," Gabe said softly. "It's great to see you here. I hope you're having a good time." "Yes, we are, thank you," Angie replied. "Even though the bonus idea didn't work out, I hope you both enjoyed the extra time together at Christmas," Gabe added. "Yes, we had a wonderful time. Christmas has a special magic to it," she said. "Look, I don't have much time, Angie. Andrea's making a quick stop at a local store for something for my headache." "Headache?" "Yes, it's a little trick to give us a few minutes alone to talk. Meet me behind the bathhouse in 5 minutes if you're open to it. I think you'll find it worthwhile." With that, Gabe got up and left Angie to consider her options. She thought it might be good to hear what he wanted to discuss. Just being near him again was exciting for her. Those kisses had lingered on her mind for months. Making sure Wayne was focused on the game, she slipped away and found Gabe behind the bathhouse just as he had said. It backed up against the woods. He gently touched her arm and led her a few steps into the woods so they wouldn't be overheard by anyone near the bathhouse. To her, he looked tough and handsome in this relaxed setting. "Thank you, Angie, for coming. I'm really glad you enjoyed your extra day off with your husband. He's a good man and very lucky to have you as his wife. That's part of what I wanted to talk about." "I'm happy to hear you kept your promise, and there hasn't been any trouble from Christmas or the bonus. I want to keep it that way," she said. Even though he didn't accept it, the bonus offer gave Wayne a big confidence boost, and I appreciate that. "I've kept my promise and did my best. As you see, I'm not someone who hovers. I would have liked to see more of you before today, but I'm patient and believe you're worth the wait." Again, Angie felt her cheeks warm. He certainly knows how to get to her, she thought. "Here's what I'm thinking, Angie. At Hyatt Engineering, vacation days are earned at the rate of 1 day per year. Wayne has been with us for 2 years, so he has earned 2 days off this year. After 3 more years, he'll earn a full week of vacation, and after 10 years, it will be 2 weeks. I know. At my job at Henderson's, I already get 2 weeks off, which makes it frustrating that I can only spend 2 days of that with Wayne. That's exactly why I'm here. I've thought about this a lot, and I think I might have a solution that could work for both of us. I can't stop thinking about the 2 special kisses we shared during the holidays. They fill my mind whenever I'm not busy. To be honest, I would really like to spend some more time with you if we could figure out something that suits us both. Would you be interested in Wayne getting an extra week of paid vacation? It would need to be taken before the end of the year, but he could choose when to take it so there wouldn't be any conflicts with work." Angie's eyes brightened at the idea of having a whole week with Wayne at the beach. "Of course I'm interested. I love my husband, and I'd love to go on a week-long vacation with him this year. So, what do you suggest, Gabe? I'm not going to do anything inappropriate if that's what you want." No, nothing like that. What I had in mind was something much simpler. I was thinking, what if you could meet me somewhere and we could spend just a little time together? Maybe just 30 minutes? During that time, we could share some more kisses, just like we did before. Isn't a few minutes of close moments worth an entire week of extra vacation time with your husband? I understand what you're saying, but I know that getting close often leads to more. I just cannot betray my husband. And I'm not asking you to. Like I said, just more of what you've already given me. Yes, our hands might touch a bit, but what if we both agree to keep our clothes on? No touching below the neck? Does that sound fair to you?" he asked. She was starting to soften, and he could see it. He knew he had her. He just needed to let her feel in control. "Okay, let's say I was interested. How would this work? This can never reach Wayne, but I'd love that extra week with him, and you make it sound so tempting to have that choice. How would this work?" "Good. Now you're thinking clearly. Here's my plan. Next Thursday and Friday, Hyatt Engineering will be meeting with some potential clients at the Hyatt Regency Hotel. I'll arrange for an extra room to be reserved for Thursday in the name of Hyatt Engineering. Your name and mine won't be linked to it. Let's say we agree to meet there at 2 p.m. That gives us the date, time, and place. The only thing we don't have now is the room number. I thought I could use one of our client service computers to send you the room number as soon as I get it. That way, there's no connection between us. Your phone will only receive a 4-digit number, nothing else. If your husband looks at your phone, he won't recognize the number or the message and will just think it's a wrong text. What do you think? Oh my, why all the secrecy? You're very careful with this. One can never be too cautious. My brother-in-law, Victor, is a private investigator and very skilled. I've learned from him many ways that unfaithful partners have been caught, and I want to make good use of that knowledge. Better safe than sorry, I always say. I completely agree, but there's still one thing we need to think about. What's that, Angie? Well, Wayne turned down the bonus because he was the only hourly worker getting it. If he's the only one with an unexpected extra week off, he might feel the need to reject it again. Smart thinking. I like how you approach this, just like me. That's why I'll give 3 of the best line workers the extra week off. I'm sure they would take it, and that way, Wayne wouldn't refuse it either. He won't suspect anything, and this plan will boost everyone else's spirits, helping them do better too. You've convinced me, Gabe. Thursday at 2 p.m. at the Hyatt Regency Hotel, and you'll text me the room number. Then I'll delete it, she said confidently. 30 minutes, not a second more, and we both keep our clothes on, agreed? Agreed. Angie returned to the stands to cheer for her husband. Although Wayne noticed she was gone for a moment, he thought she just went to the restroom, so he didn't worry. She was excited for 2 reasons. First, her efforts would earn Wayne a full week of paid vacation. Second, the idea of having some time alone with someone like Gabe brought back some thrilling feelings from her past. But if it weren't for helping her husband, she would never have thought about this situation with his boss. As the chief financial officer at Henderson's Jewelers, Angie had a flexible work schedule. She was not tied to a desk. As long as she did her job well, she could come and go as she needed. She was a responsible employee, especially since she was the main provider for their home. Still, she hoped her efforts to assist her husband would change that someday. At 2 p.m. on Thursday, she knocked on the door of room 2342 at the Hyatt Regency Hotel. She wore her usual conservative dress for work to avoid drawing attention. The only change was that she wore pantyhose, something she typically avoided. But for today, she wanted to follow Gabe's request, thinking it would keep things more comfortable for both of them while still respecting their agreement. When the door opened, Gabe greeted her with a big smile and said in a warm voice, "You can't imagine how much I've been looking forward to this. Please, come in." Just being alone with him made her feel less reserved. He looked relaxed in khaki pants and a light blue shirt, and to her he looked charming. She smiled at his words and said, "Just to confirm, if we do this today, Wayne will get a full week of paid vacation, right?" "Straight to the point, I like that," Gabe said with a nod. "Yes, he will receive a week of paid vacation anytime he wants, with no restrictions, so he can take time off when it works for both of you. Here's the rewritten text. The 3 people will all get the same written reward tomorrow. You have my promise, which I take seriously. Angie, I hope this will be a pleasant experience for both of us." Feeling reassured by what was to come, she explained, "Once I press start on my phone app, a 30-minute timer will begin. It will beep when time is up. When you hear the sound, we will stop, okay?" Gabe chuckled at her serious tone. He knew he had 30 minutes to change her mind. If he couldn't win her over in that time, he would feel like he had failed. "Okay," he replied cheerfully. "Would you like a drink first?" "Normally, I'd go for something to help me relax, but it would seem strange for me to be away from the office for too long. If you're okay with it, I'd like to get started now," said Angie, feeling a bit anxious. "I've never been more ready for anything in my life," Gabe said. "We will not be disturbed here, I promise. You are safe with me, Angie. Please go ahead and start the timer." He smiled at her. She set her purse and phone down and started the timer. Without wasting any time, Gabe approached her and gathered her in his arms. He kissed her forehead and her cheeks, then kissed her softly on the lips. The warmth of his kiss took her by surprise. She remembered her attraction to him and soon wrapped her arms around his back, responding to his kiss with equal warmth. Their hands explored each other freely. Gabe held her closely with one arm while his other hand brushed her face and neck, then moved lower. Angie did not pull away. Instead, she welcomed his gentle touches. She felt excited that she had such an effect on a man she found very appealing. After about 4 or 5 minutes of kissing, Gabe released her and took her hand to walk her over to the bed nearby. Angie seemed to float as she walked with him. She felt connected to him and knew she would gladly give him her attention, yet she was relieved that they had agreed on just 30 minutes of kissing and no more. If they hadn't set those boundaries, things might have gone further. She trusted him to keep his word, knowing they both had a lot on the line. Gabe gently laid Angie down on the bed and settled in beside her. Gabe placed his arm around her shoulders, leaning in close. He kissed her warmly, and she responded with equal affection. They embraced, drawing closer, and he gently held her, feeling the warmth between them as they shared a tender moment. She was dressed carefully, and he admired her presence with quiet appreciation, cherishing the closeness they shared without overstepping any boundaries. They continued to share a soft, lingering kiss, holding each other, and the warmth between them was enough to deepen their connection. Gabe respected her limits, knowing they each had their own commitments and boundaries. As their embrace ended, he moved his hand to her shoulder, gently resting it there. They exchanged a look of understanding, each knowing the other's unspoken thoughts, valuing the special moment without crossing any lines. With time slipping away, Gabe wanted to make every moment together meaningful. He held her close, their hands entwined, cherishing the trust and bond they had, feeling grateful for this rare connection. Gabe stayed true to the limits they'd set, never attempting to move beyond them. He looked deeply into her eyes, sharing an unspoken connection. They kissed warmly, both fully immersed in the moment. He held her close, their embrace firm, and she responded by wrapping her arms around him. The two held on to each other, savoring the connection between them, fully present yet mindful of the boundaries they'd agreed upon. As they held each other tightly, the intensity of the moment grew. She whispered words of encouragement, feeling the emotions within her rise. Gabe stayed silent, sharing in the moment without saying a word, letting the connection speak for itself. They both seemed to lose themselves in the intensity until the feeling naturally came to a close, and they each took a calming breath. When the timer signaled their time was up, Gabe gently pulled away, showing her a warm smile. He quickly adjusted himself, sitting back on the bed. They shared one last, meaningful kiss, allowing the lingering emotions to settle as they both accepted that their moment together had reached its end. She kept kissing him, enjoying the happy feelings of their time together. It made her glad to see him keep his promise and not try to push her to do more than they agreed. This made her trust Gabe more as a man of his word. When their kiss ended, she said, "That was really nice, and thank you for not trying to go further. I appreciate it." Gabe smiled and replied, "Angie, you are an amazing woman, even compared to my wife. I care about her, but you bring out feelings in me that no one else has. You are more than I ever dreamed. Thank you. Now I should let you get back to work before anyone wonders." She smiled as she stood up, fixing her dress and noticing it was wrinkled. "Oh no, what should I do now?" she said with frustration. Seeing her struggle with the wrinkles, he suggested, "I need to leave for my own meetings and some paperwork, but how about this? I'll leave my key here so you know no one else can come in. Then you can use the iron and ironing board to fix your dress and go back to work looking great. No one will see you while you do that, but I'll certainly think about it." Angie smiled, feeling grateful for his kindness. "Thank you, Gabe. That sounds like a plan. I hope your meetings go well." Gabe walked over, kissed her hand quickly, then left the room, leaving his key behind. After he was gone, Angie took a moment to clean up. She neatly ironed her dress until there was no sign of their earlier time together. She returned to work on time, and everything seemed normal, with no issues from her brief encounter. The next day, Wayne came home with exciting news but felt a little hesitant to share it. He decided to wait and see if Angie acted differently or asked if anything special had happened at work. She seemed just the same and didn't seem bothered that he hadn't told her his news. He waited 2 days to share the news, and she was thrilled, almost as if it was brand new to her. With Brandon and Terry also getting an extra week of paid vacation, he felt more sure that this special bonus was legitimate. As soon as he told her, Angie eagerly searched online for beach destinations for their first week-long trip together as a married couple. They had a fantastic time on their vacation, and their connection grew stronger. Wayne thought maybe her interest in his boss was fading, and that she truly wanted to be with him. He saw no signs that suggested she would want to be with anyone else. Their time at the beach brought new energy to their marriage. Not that it had become dull, but having uninterrupted time together was a delight for them both. Their relationship felt stronger than ever. On Monday, August 14th, Angie got a call in her office at 10 a.m. "Hello, Angie, do you have a minute for an old friend?" "Hi, Gabe. I know that voice anywhere," she replied with excitement. "You're too kind. I wanted to see if you're free for lunch today at D'Angelo's, the new Italian place on Market Street. My treat." "D'Angelo's? I've heard that place is really nice. Wayne and I have talked about going there, but we haven't made it yet." "I've heard good things, too. I wanted to try it with someone special. How about 1 o'clock? You'll enjoy it." 1 o'clock? "I think I can make that work. See you then," she said. "It's a date," he replied, and they both hung up. Angie wondered what surprises he might bring. With Gabe, there was always something unexpected and enjoyable. She arrived 5 minutes early and found him already seated. She ordered the most expensive dish, and Gabe didn't bat an eye. He ordered wine for both of them, and they made small talk until the food came. Angie started. "First off, Gabe, I want you to know I appreciate you being a man of your word. Wayne and I had a fabulous time at the beach, but I suspect that's not why you're here. I know you have something on your mind. You're always direct, and that's one of the many things I love about you, Angie. I'm glad you two made great use of that vacation time. I'm glad you're curious about what I want to share with you. I hope to suggest something that could really help you and Wayne in your lives together." "Oh, you definitely have my attention. What are you getting at, Gabe?" Angie asked. "Well, as you know, Wayne has been working different shifts since he joined us, and I can see how his evening shifts might be tough on your relationship. I mean, he's away every night during the week." "I'm listening," Angie replied. "I'm going to be straightforward with you, Angie. You really captivate me. Ever since our time together not too long ago, I haven't been able to get you out of my mind." He placed his hand over hers, and she felt a strong connection from his touch. He continued, "I'm really fond of you, and I want to think of a way we could both gain something from being together again." "Yes? Go on," Angie encouraged. "I was thinking about switching 2 of our staff members from night shifts to full-time day shifts. Would you like that for Wayne? Imagine if he never had to work nights again and could be home with you every evening. Wouldn't that be wonderful?" "Oh my, yes! That would be amazing!" Angie exclaimed. "I thought you'd feel that way. I may have to do a bit of negotiating to make it happen. I've even figured out how to keep my name out of it to make it easier for Wayne. But I need to know if you're serious about helping me make this happen." Angie's smile faded as she thought about the cost of his request. There was always a price to pay, but her experiences with him had felt meaningful. Still, she wondered what he wanted this time. "What exactly do you have in mind, Gabe? I've told you before that I can't betray my husband." "I get it, Angie, and I truly respect you for that. Just so you know, I'm not suggesting anything that crosses any serious boundaries. What I have in mind is more intimate than what we've done before, but still respectful. I was hoping we could share a close moment like we have before, but without going too far. Would you be open to that? I promise it would be special, and I would treat you with the utmost care." He said earnestly, "That sounds like maybe. I guess that means we both need to be without clothes." "Yes, Angie, I think that's the best way to enjoy it." She felt a shiver thinking about being close to him, but she didn't want to betray her husband. "Do I need to answer now? Can I think about it a bit?" "Of course. Here's the plan. Wayne is working late shifts this week, but he will switch to daytime for 2 weeks after that. If you tell me by Wednesday I'd like to meet up on Friday evening after your work, I'll make a call to him after we part, and he'll get his shift change notice that night. He won't have to work late shifts anymore. Wouldn't that be nice?" Angie gazed at Gabe. "Yes, that would be nice, and being with you would be nice too. I just need time to think before I decide. I'll let you know by Wednesday. Thank you for this lovely lunch." As they parted, he kissed her cheek and said, "Thank you for being such a wonderful person. And remember, no more nights alone at home without him. That means something." After having dinner alone, as she often did, Angie thought about how nice it would be to have her husband with her every evening instead of just sometimes. As she lay in bed feeling lonely, she missed him even more than usual. Now, there seemed to be a possibility of change. But she had to think about the price of that choice. Wayne would never know about her thoughts or what she was considering, but she would know. Gabe would know too. He had just as much to risk, if not more, so he wouldn't put them in danger. These thoughts filled her mind as she drifted off to sleep. On Wednesday morning, Angie called Gabe from her office. "There's a small park around the corner. I have my lunch and I plan to eat there. Can you meet me at 12:15? We can talk then." "I'll be there," he replied. Excitement rushed through her as she thought about their meeting. Angie sat on a park bench away from others, wanting their conversation to be private yet still in a public place. "Thank you for meeting me. I wanted to keep things normal," she said. "Meeting you anywhere at any time is always a pleasure, Angie," he replied. She smiled at his enthusiasm, enjoying his attention. "I have thought a lot about your offer. This is a really hard choice for me because I don't want to betray my husband. I know that some famous people have different ideas about what counts as cheating, but I am not them. Ever since you suggested this idea, I have noticed my husband's absence more, especially in the evenings. It feels stronger than before. I guess it's because I might be able to change that. I haven't decided yet, so I need you to tell me everything about what you have in mind. I need clear details about who, what, where, and when so I can choose with all the information. Please convince me, Gabe." Angie took a bite of her sandwich and looked away, waiting for him to respond. Gabe wanted to reach out to her, to show affection. He knew that being close might help his case, but in this public place he decided to respect her boundaries and not risk their trust. In a warm and sincere tone, he began, "I've always thought you're a wonderful person, both inside and out. I respect your loyalty and love for your husband. He is very lucky to have you. I want to assure you that I don't want to take anything away from that. I've always spoken kindly about Wayne, and our time together has only helped you two grow closer. I don't want to be a threat to you or your marriage. I cherish every moment with you, and while I'm happy for the time we share, I also look forward to what the future might hold." Gabe paused for a moment and then continued. "About the details, I've thought a lot about that too. Nothing is set in stone, and if you have any worries or ideas, we can work together to make it work. Andrea is leaving tomorrow evening for a trip, 850 miles away. She's going to stay with her family for a few days and will come back on Sunday night. She's leaving on Thursday to save on travel costs. So she'll be out of town, and you won't have to worry about her getting suspicious. As you know, Wayne will be at work from 3 p.m. until midnight this Friday. That's why I think Friday night would be a good option. What I suggest is for you to go home after work on Friday and take care of anything you need to. To keep things discreet, you could drive to meet me at a restaurant of your choice. Just tell me which place you prefer, and I will make sure we have a reservation. I would love to treat you to a lovely evening together. When you're ready, we can leave your car there, and I'll take us back to my place. I'll park the car in my garage where it will be safe, and no one will recognize you at night. I'll try my best to make you feel relaxed, and then we can go to my bedroom. Once we're there, we'll share some tender moments to connect with each other a little more. If you're worried about how long this will take, I want it to last longer than our last quick meeting, but not longer than an hour. Maybe around 45 minutes would work. No timers, just whatever feels right. I hope we can explore and enjoy each other's company slowly. I imagine we could have some close moments together, savoring the experience and trying to keep that special feeling for both of us. Afterwards, you can take a shower by yourself, or we can share one, whichever you prefer. Then we'll get dressed and I'll drive you back to your car. I'll follow you home to make sure you arrive safely, and then I'll keep going on my way, and our lovely evening will end." "My, you've really thought this through," Angie said with surprise. "But to be honest, I expected nothing less. Thank you for explaining everything so clearly. It really helps me feel better. But I do have one more question." "Of course, ask away." "If we're both, well, taking care of each other, how do we know when one of us is getting close to reaching that moment?" she asked. "Good question. It's great that you're thinking about this. How about we gently tap each other's hand when we feel we're getting close? That way, if one of us is near that point, the other can slow down a bit before continuing. After about 45 minutes of this back and forth, when we both feel that urgency at the same time, I can choose the best moment for us to fully enjoy it together. How does that sound?" Angie smiled brightly. "That sounds perfect, thank you. I really appreciate the details, as I like to know what to expect." But what, Angie? What if I don't feel ready before the hour is over? Will it still be done after an hour? Gabe paused for a moment. Are you saying you don't think I can bring you joy, Angie? No, of course not. I'm not suggesting that at all. Well, what are you saying then? I was just thinking about how I might feel guilty about being close to another man besides my husband. I want to make sure you have a good time, but I just want to be clear about everything, Angie said nervously. Angie, you have nothing to worry about, really. I'm a man of my word. If I can't help you feel good within an hour, I will completely understand and respect your feelings. We'll stop when the hour is up, no matter what happens. All I ask is that you give it a chance. Nothing more, nothing less. I will never push you in any way, okay? Okay, thank you. That makes me feel better. Just 2 quick questions, if that's all right. Go ahead, Angie. You can ask me anything. Wayne's shift change will be permanent, right? And this plan we have is for just one time, right? Absolutely. I would never try to trick you or cheat you in any way. And yes, this is just a one-time deal. I won't ask for more once we've made our agreement. Does that sound okay to you? Actually, every part of your plan seems just right. Wayne usually calls me around 7 p.m. when he takes his supper break. Our chats are usually quick, only about 10 minutes before he goes to eat. I will have already showered and changed by then. How about we meet for a nice dinner and some dancing at 8 p.m. at Green Supper Club? Gabriel felt a rush of excitement, happy that he had convinced her. Though it took some effort, he believed it was worth it. I'll make the reservations as soon as I get back to my office. Thank you, Angie, for making my day, and I hope Friday night will be special for you, too. Like a true gentleman, he took her hand and gave it a gentle kiss before leaving the park, feeling cheerful. As Angie thought about her conversation with Gabriel, she felt a mix of dreams and worries. On one hand, she felt a bit guilty about being close to another man, but she reminded herself that it wouldn't go too far. She considered not fully giving in to her feelings so she wouldn't feel so bad. Yet she also thought that trying to hold back might just make everything last longer. If she let herself enjoy the moment fully, it could be over quickly. Yes, she concluded. Being open and free would make it end sooner, lessening her worries. She felt proud of her reasoning. Angie stayed awake for Wayne's return home at 12:25 a.m. that night. She told him how much she missed him, and they shared a loving moment together. As she snuggled into her husband's arms and drifted off to sleep, she thought about how her support would help make his late shifts disappear. From now on, they could enjoy their evenings together. She felt confident she had made the right choice. All day on Friday, Angie felt nervous excitement. If she weren't already married, she might have fallen for Gabe. But her heart belonged to one man, Wayne. On a scale of 1 to 10, Gabe was certainly an 11 in charm. She chose a modest outfit for work to keep things discreet. She hadn't shared her plans with anyone, not even her closest friends. Gabe wasn't just a passing fling, he was someone who could help her husband advance. She was willing to do a lot for Wayne. As soon as she got home, she took a shower, enjoying the moment. For some reason, she felt everything needed to be just right. Gabe had found her appealing, and she wanted to maintain that image. She chose a simple black dress and stockings, hoping to impress him and set the mood for the evening. Wayne called at the right time, and they chatted briefly, expressing their love. She mentioned wanting to watch TV and turn in early after a long day at work. He joked that he would try to let her sleep when he got home, but couldn't promise anything. Angie arrived at the supper club 10 minutes early and found Gabe already waiting at a table for 2. She thought he seemed eager, and she felt the same excitement. Such opportunities didn't come often, so she ordered steak and lobster, which were as delicious as she'd hoped. Gabe was in a great mood, enjoying her jokes and keeping the conversation lively, always respectful and never crossing any lines, which she appreciated. After dinner, they danced. The music was perfect for slow dancing, and they moved comfortably together on the dance floor, enjoying each other's company. They were subtle but relaxed, sharing smiles and light-hearted moments like any close friends could. When Angie returned from the restroom and sat back down with Gabe, she placed her hand over his. He was surprised when she discreetly slipped him a small item. He quickly recognized it and tucked it away, smiling to himself as he appreciated the moment. Gabe smiled at her warmly and said, "Angie, this evening has been wonderful. Wouldn't you agree? I was hoping we might make it even better by spending a little more time together." "I thought you'd never ask," Angie replied with a light-hearted laugh. Taking her hand, Gabe led her to his car, noting where she had parked hers. They arrived at his house around 10. He used the remote to open the garage, pulling in and closing it quickly behind them. He moved to her side, opening the door with a friendly gesture. "Welcome to my humble home." Angie gave him a big smile as she walked into his house, guided by his hand on her back. "May I offer you something to drink?" he asked as they walked through the kitchen. "Another time I'd say yes, but since it's late and I need to head home soon, I'd rather we not feel rushed. I want this evening to be special," she responded kindly. "Absolutely," Gabe replied. "The restroom is just up the stairs on your left if you'd like to freshen up. I'll be in the room down the hall waiting. Please, feel at home." A few minutes later, they both found themselves in a cozy guest bedroom. Gabe had changed into comfortable clothes, and Angie wore a simple outfit. She glanced around, taking in the new setting, and then looked at him. "Is there another room we could sit and relax in? Knowing this is a shared space feels a bit too personal," she said gently. "Of course, Angie. Let's move to another room. I should have thought of that," he answered, guiding her to a welcoming guest room down the hall. They paused at the foot of the bed, sharing a moment of calm and companionship. Gabe noticed Angie holding her phone and asked, "Do you need to make a call?" She shook her head and said, "Not at all, Gabe. I just set a timer for an hour so I can make sure to get home safely and on time. It's important to me to keep track." "That's thoughtful," Gabe replied warmly. "You're wonderful, Angie." She smiled brightly at his words. "Why don't you go ahead and start the timer?" he continued, "and then we can enjoy a little time together. Maybe we could start with just a few gentle moments, some quiet time to savor this?" She nodded, a warm smile on her face, and set the timer. Gabe moved closer, embracing her gently as they shared a soft, lingering kiss. They took their time, savoring the closeness, letting the world slip away as they held each other. After a few quiet moments, Gabe led her to sit beside him on the bed. They both relaxed, sharing a peaceful connection, each appreciating the other's presence. Gabe softly kissed her forehead, then her cheeks, enjoying the simplicity of being near her. They sat side by side, hands intertwined, quietly appreciating the moment. As they talked and laughed, Angie felt grateful for their time together, feeling that rare connection she'd hoped for. They shared stories, memories, and thoughts, making the most of the time they had. Angie was soon caught up in the moment, feeling sensations she hadn't felt before, without any guilt this time. It was a different kind of excitement than what she usually felt with her husband. Not wanting her to finish too soon, he moved away and rolled onto his back, gently guiding her into a position where she was above him. He thought she might enjoy being in control while he was underneath. This was a moment he had looked forward to for a long time. Angie looked down, captivated by the sight before her. It brought her a sense of awe. Although it was slightly larger than her husband, it was the thickness that truly amazed her. It had been a while since she had experienced anything like this, and she was eager to explore it. As she saw this thrilling opportunity, it felt as if a switch had flipped within her. With every movement, she was dedicated to the experience. She began with a technique she had learned long ago. He was amazed by the feelings it created. It felt warm and soft, unlike anything he had experienced before. She knew that this way, he would slowly build towards a peak, and there was no rush. She planned to take her time. Angie had looked forward to this chance ever since it was first suggested, so she was getting close to her peak much faster than he was. After a few minutes, she gently tapped his thigh to signal her closeness. She thought to herself how he was someone who carefully planned each moment to make it last, especially with her. Once he felt her taps, he shifted to kissing her gently, wanting to stay connected but easing her immediate need. After around 20 minutes of this slow and careful play, he let out a frustrated groan. While it was a mesmerizing experience for him, he really wanted to reach that peak soon. He had never had someone control the situation as perfectly as she was doing. Feeling him getting close, she slowed down even more, wanting to tease him while giving him a moment to hold back. Finally, he tapped her leg firmly, signaling that he was almost there. One more gentle movement would have brought him to his peak. Gabe and Angie continued to share a quiet but passionate connection, each focused on making the other feel appreciated and cared for. They took their time, deeply immersed in the moment, exchanging gentle touches and soft, heartfelt kisses. Their bond grew as they expressed their emotions through these simple, affectionate gestures, each feeling a sense of warmth and closeness. As they relaxed, Gabe suggested they shift to a more comfortable position on their sides, where they could talk and share more easily. They continued to hold each other in a tender embrace, grateful for the calm and peaceful intimacy. The closeness felt effortless, with each of them fully present in the shared experience, feeling deeply connected without needing words. After some time, Gabe shifted to gently rest beside her, leaning in to offer a final, soft kiss. The evening had been meaningful for both of them, filled with a sense of companionship that felt rare and special. They lay quietly, enjoying the warmth between them, before finally resting side by side, cherishing the memories they'd just made. They could both feel a connection as they kissed, which made their bond stronger. She held on to him, feeling safe, knowing he respected her boundaries. "Was it everything you wanted?" she asked with a smile. "It was even better than that," he replied. "Honestly, it was the best I've ever experienced." As she grinned at his answer, her phone timer went off and she laughed. "Looks like we really made the most of our time," she said cheerfully. "I have to say, I had an amazing time. You really exceeded my expectations, so now it's my turn to do the same." He sat up on the edge of the bed and took out his phone. "Yes, this is Gabe Weston. I'd like to confirm the shift changes we talked about earlier. Yes, they will be permanent. I understand. I will sign the paperwork Monday morning and make it official. Thank you, and have a good night. Angie, tonight is the last night Wayne will work late. Starting now, he will have daytime hours, and you have him to thank for it. I hope this makes things better for you both, and that you'll enjoy having him around every night." "Thanks, Gabe. We really appreciate it. I should get in the shower and head home so I can act surprised when he shares the news." She stood up, leaned over, and gave him a gentle kiss on the lips as a way to say thanks. "Want some company in the shower?" he asked playfully. "I'd end up late if we did that, so I should get moving." "And you look great doing it," he said as she walked to the bathroom. Not long after the call, Wayne was called into Harold's office, his supervisor. When he entered, he saw Conrad, another co-worker, already sitting there. "Hey, Connie." Conrad just nodded as Wayne continued. "Is something wrong, boss?" "Actually, it's quite the opposite," Harold said. "It seems you and Conrad have impressed someone higher up. I received an order just a few minutes ago. My boss says it's real. After you both finish your shifts tonight, starting Monday, you'll both switch to permanent daytime schedules unless you want to stay on the later shifts." Conrad and Wayne exchanged excited looks, grinning widely and giving each other a high five. Wayne briefly wondered if Gabe and Angie were involved, but he pushed the thought away. After all, Conrad was getting the same change, and he wasn't even married. Plus, there was no mention of Gabe's name in the shift request, so he let go of any thoughts of favors. When Wayne got home, he was eager to share his good news. With a hint of curiosity, he wanted to check if Angie was waiting for him after his unexpected shift change. He entered their home quietly, trying not to disturb her. He took off his shoes and tiptoed to their bedroom. The door was wide open, and soft light from a nightlight in the bathroom illuminated the room. Unsure if she was asleep, he carefully leaned in and gently kissed her, just like he had done many times after work. She stirred slowly and wrapped her arms around him, pulling him closer. He felt sure she had been asleep. She pretended to be surprised by his arrival, sharing his joy. Since it was Saturday and they didn't have work the next day, they spent time together enjoying each other's company until late into the night. Everything felt perfect. Gabe was getting skilled at the art of charm. He found Angie captivating and seemed to have an influence over her. He needed to think of a way to deepen their connection, but was cautious. Neither of them had raised suspicion in their marriages, and they were pleased about it. Gabe decided to take his time and plan for the best chance to succeed. He avoided talking to Angie, hoping her thoughts about him were as strong as his were about her. When Angie brought up the Hendersons' Christmas party to Wayne, she offered to arrange a tux for him, knowing it wouldn't be a good idea to surprise him like last time. He turned down her offer, and when she pushed, said that if she insisted, she could go alone since he had other plans. She dropped the subject but gave him an appointment card for her hairstylist. He smiled as he took the card but chose not to argue. Later, he quietly threw the card away and went to his own barber instead, not bothering to cancel the appointment she had made for him. When someone at the party asked about his job, he curtly replied, "You should really ask Angie. She explains things better than I do." His comment reminded her that even a year later, he still remembered what she had done. At the Hyatt Engineering Christmas party that year, Gabe only chatted politely with Wayne and Angie before moving on to other couples. He wanted to avoid any unwanted attention from either of them. Both Andrea and Wayne seemed relaxed, with nothing to catch their interest. Gabe did ask Angie to dance, but only after dancing with many other wives. Ignoring her completely might look suspicious. Their dance was cheerful, and to Angie's relief, Gabe was a perfect gentleman, not mentioning their past in any way. Still, she couldn't help but feel fluttery inside at the sound of his deep voice and good looks. She managed to stay calm for the rest of the night. For the next 6 months, life went on normally for both the Van Stories and the Westons. Angie happily enjoyed having her husband home each evening. She felt her small sacrifice was worth it, and she felt no guilt. It was a Wednesday in July when Angie received a call on her work phone. "Angela Van Story, how may I help you?" "Hello, Angie. It's great to hear your voice." She felt a warm excitement as she recognized his deep voice. "Hi there, Gabe. It's been a while. How are you?" "I wanted to talk to you about something, Angie. What are you doing for lunch today?" "Oh, nothing special. I was thinking of getting a salad at the bistro across the street." "Why?" "There's a shopping center about 2 blocks down from Henderson's, right?" "Yes, that's Cross Park Plaza. Why do you ask?" "Can you meet me there at 11:30 for lunch? We'll leave your car there and I'll take you across town to a new steakhouse called Dutton's Ranch. I have something to discuss with you and want to treat you to a great meal if you're interested," Gabe said. "I could take a longer lunch today. I was busy yesterday, but today you're in luck." "Great! I won't keep you on the phone. I'll see you at 11:30 sharp, and I will explain everything over lunch. Does that work for you?" "Yes, it does," she laughed. "See you then. Bye." Angie made herself look nice before leaving for lunch. For some reason, she wanted to look her best. That familiar excitement was coming back to her. Gabe smiled and whistled as she entered his car. "Wow, you look great. Do you take beauty pills every day? I have to say, you look even more beautiful than the last time I saw you. I don't know what your secret is, but keep it up." "Oh, don't be silly. You're just flattering me. I wasn't expecting to meet anyone today, but I appreciate it." She smiled and felt herself blush. She wondered if she would leave a mark on his leather seat, but somehow she didn't think he would worry too much about it. They chatted lightly, catching up on each other's lives until they finished their main meal and were waiting for dessert. "You're right, Gabe. My filet mignon was cooked perfectly. The taste was amazing. I need to convince Wayne to bring us here next time we celebrate." "That's what I wanted to talk to you about, Angie. Something for you and Wayne to celebrate." "I had a feeling you had something in mind. You wouldn't have risked being seen with me in public if there wasn't a good reason. What's going on? Tell me." She smiled, curious. "You know me too well. Just then, the waitress brought 2 homemade peach cobblers with ice cream." "Well, Angie, I've been thinking. I've been eager to meet again. You're always on my mind. But I'm not here to revisit the past. I want to focus on the future." "Whose future, Gabe? Yours, Wayne's, or mine?" "Honestly, all 3 of us. I've thought a lot about being with you again, but our past agreements are done, and I won't ask any more from you regarding them." "This cobbler is amazing. I don't know what they include in it, but I can't stop eating it. Anyway, back to my thoughts. I've been thinking of something valuable for us both." "It is delicious. Please go on." "Sure. I remember you mentioned wanting to see Wayne succeed at our company. To be honest, I want to help make that happen for you two. Wayne has a great head for business, and more importantly, he has the respect of his co-workers. Respect is very important in leadership. Some people try to gain it the wrong way, but Wayne earns it by supporting others. His honesty shows he would make a great candidate for... For what, Gabe? What are you trying to say? She looked at him, clearly anxious for the answer. He could see that he had her full attention. "Elliot Hensley, Harold's boss and your husband's boss's boss, will be retiring in 2 weeks. He is the manager for the entire day shift." I found out today that he has serious cancer and wants to spend his remaining time with his family. I can understand why he feels that way. That's awful. I met Elliot and his wonderful wife Regina at the Christmas parties. It's such a shame, and he isn't that old either. It really is a shame. Elliot has been a good worker and a true friend. I hope his family can create happy memories in the time they have left together. However, this sad news brings us to a new chance. What do you mean by chance, Gabe? What are you talking about? Although these situations are unfortunate, we still have to keep working, even without Elliot. Mr. Hyatt has asked me to interview and suggest someone to take Elliot's place. I know you might think we could promote Harold and then find someone else to fill Harold's spot, but Harold is getting older. He has mentioned he may consider retiring in the next few years, so it wouldn't be wise for me to suggest Harold as the replacement. Also, Mr. Hyatt prefers to promote from within the company since they are already familiar with our work and rules. Therefore, we can't bring in someone from outside. Gabe paused to let everything he said settle in. What do you mean? Are you saying you might recommend someone younger for that job? She asked, her voice full of hope. Yes, whoever I recommend will likely get the job. I believe Mr. Hyatt will approve my choice since I have been here so long, no matter who it is. Then Gabe took out a paper from his coat and handed it to her. As she opened it, he continued, Here are 6 names. They are ranked by how I see them fitting into Elliot's role. Wayne is 6th on the list, but at least he is included. I am confident that any of these 6 men could do well in this position with a little bit of training from me. I don't know what to say, Gabe. It looks like you've made your decision already, so why show this to me? That's my point, Angie. These names are just my initial thoughts, and no one else has seen this list. Mr. Hyatt doesn't know who I might recommend and is waiting for my choice. So you're saying there's a chance for Wayne to move up into Elliot's position? To rise 2 levels at once? That's exactly what I'm saying. If I were to recommend Wayne to Hyatt, he would get a significant raise and move up in his job quickly. In fact, he would become a full-time employee, like me, but he would earn about 25% more than what you currently make, if what you've told me is true. Angie's face lit up with excitement at the thought. This could be a dream come true for both of them. Wayne would gain respect in his new management role, and his higher salary would increase his status in her eyes and others as well. She felt very happy about the idea, but then she realized that this was a big deal. She knew Gabe would expect something important in return. Okay, Gabe, I see you've got my attention. So yes, I want to know what would it take for you to move Wayne from the 6th spot to the number 1 spot. That's why we're here, right? She asked nervously. I knew we were on the same page. I really want this for both of us, but I need to know if you're ready to do what I think would be enough of a reason for me to help Wayne. With determination, she replied, Bottom line, Gabe, I understand you perfectly. I just need to know exactly what you want in return for your support so I can think about it. You're always so smart and direct about things, and I've always admired that about you, Angie. Here's the deal. For me to support your husband and ensure he gets this raise, it needs to be all or nothing. Once we agree, there won't be any chance for similar agreements in the future. This would be our last chance to make such a deal, and I wouldn't be able to offer anything else later on. Wayne would get my best guidance to help him succeed, but it would take about 2 weeks of training with me. I believe he will quickly learn what he needs to know. Angie looked down at the table, realizing that this was far more than Gabe had ever offered them before. She sensed something significant was coming next. Angie, if you can work with me on this, I would have some expectations. Here's my thought. In the next 2 weeks, I would need you to spend a full 3-day weekend with me, just the 2 of us. The 3 days will probably start at 6 a.m. on a Friday and go nonstop until 6 p.m. on Sunday. During that time, you would completely give yourself to me. I know you have said before that you wouldn't be with me, but if you could find a way to share this little 3-day getaway, it could open up a life of comfort for you and your husband. I've thought a lot about this, and because of the situation and how much I would be helping both of you, I can't settle for anything less than what I'm asking. If you can't agree to my request, I will understand and never reach out to you again or bring up our past, but please know I will always cherish the moments we shared. So it's either all or nothing? No way around it? I understand you're hesitant, Angie. I really do. If you decide not to go along with this, there will be no hard feelings with Wayne. He'll just have to move up slowly in his career as he is now. I have high hopes for him. But just to be clear, yes, it is all or nothing. You must see that this is a rare chance for him. You won't get another opportunity like this. When do I need to give you an answer? Honestly, Gabe, I'm leaning towards saying no right now. No offense to you. You are attractive, and I do feel drawn to you. But choosing to be unfaithful to Wayne, even with good intentions, is too much for me at the moment. I hope you can understand. Of course I understand. I didn't expect an answer right away. However, there is a bit of urgency. Today is Wednesday, so I will need your answer by Sunday at the latest. We'll need to make plans quickly if this is going to happen. The sooner you can let me know, the better. I'll be interviewing the 6 names on that list over the next week, and I'll be making a decision after that. So timing is important. You've given me a lot to think about, Gabe. I won't dismiss your proposal without proper thought. I promise to take it seriously and let you know my decision as soon as I can. I really appreciate you considering Wayne for this promotion. It means a lot to me. As they stood, she gave him a quick kiss on the cheek, and he silently walked her back to her car. She was deep in thought. Angie's mind was filled with her struggle. She truly loves Wayne. He is the best thing that ever happened to her, and losing him would be heartbreaking. If he ever found out she was unfaithful, it would ruin their marriage. Still, she has helped him at work before, and none of those moments have ever been discovered. Gabe has much to lose, and he often worries about their safety. Just like he said, chances like this may not come again, so they need to act now. She imagined how thrilled Wayne would be if he got a big promotion, and how happy she would be for him to finally be the main provider, the way things should be. While that thought lingered, other images filled her mind, always returning to Gabe. He has shown he knows how to make things special. Spending 3 days with him could create memories that would last a long time. But the biggest concern is keeping it all a secret. Gabe would never take a risk unless he was sure they were safe. What to do next? On Friday morning, Angie called Gabe's work phone from her office. Gabe Weston speaking. Good morning, Mr. Weston. Angie, I'm so glad to hear from you. She laughed softly. Can you meet me in the park at noon today at our usual bench? Of course. I can hardly wait to see you. She giggled again. Just hold on a little longer. See you at noon. Bye. Gabe kept checking the clock, wishing it would move faster. He hoped her early call was a positive sign, but he knew things could go either way. He felt a mix of hope and caution as he waited. When he arrived at the park, he noticed another woman sitting next to Angie. As soon as Angie saw him, she stood up and said, Let's go for a walk. To answer your question, no, I don't know her. She was already here when I got here, so I just made small talk until you arrived, she explained. I thought so. You look amazing today. I could hardly resist. That sounds like something you've already done, she said with a laugh. Seeing him and feeling his presence strengthened her resolve. If we go ahead with this, I want to set some clear rules so we both understand what to expect from each other. I wouldn't want it any other way. What are your terms, my dear? First, I absolutely want no pain. I'm not interested in anything that hurts. Agreed, I'm not into pain either. Secondly, let's keep this between us and avoid any public displays of affection. This will just be you and me, alone, with no one else around. I completely agree. I want those 3 days just for us. As for your request to avoid public displays of affection, I feel the same way. When we go out to eat, we'll keep everything friendly and respectful. Any closeness we share will be in private. Deal? Also, no marks on my body. I wouldn't want to explain anything to Wayne. We both feel the same way about that. Also, let's keep things simple. This is about being together, not anything else. Agreed, that's understood. One more thing, no restraints. While it might seem fun sometimes, I wouldn't want any unexplainable marks to show up. As much as I would enjoy having you close like that, I agree. No restraints. I also want to make sure I'm not required to reach a peak with you. While it may happen, I don't want to feel like I have to. My body doesn't work that way, but I'll make sure you enjoy yourself. Of course, I'd be disappointed if you didn't feel good, but I won't pressure you. If it happens, it does. I agree. Another thing to mention, no mess on my wedding ring. Some people find joy in that, but I can't accept it. I have too much respect for Wayne. He means a lot to me. You've thought this through. I wouldn't consider that at all. Why don't we lock our wedding rings in the safe when we arrive and keep them there until we leave? That way, nothing can go wrong. She smiled at him and nodded. Also, I'm okay with other things, but there has to be a lot of care. Remember my no-pain rule. I would never be harsh with you. I want this to be enjoyable. Lastly, let's use protection. I'm on the pill, but it's not always foolproof, so I insist on condoms for safety. I would hate to worry about who the father could be. I see your point. I imagine us as if we're newlyweds. Using protection might change the feeling. Let me think about this. I will provide you with a morning-after pill at the end of our weekend together. This way, you won't have to worry about pregnancy, and we can enjoy our time together more easily without worrying about other things. I really don't like those. She looked at him and saw he was serious. She didn't want to miss this chance with him because of her insistence on using protection, especially since he offered the morning-after pill to avoid any worry. As much as she wanted to keep some distance in her mind, she felt like she needed to give him this one thing, since it was the only request he hesitated on. She really didn't want to. She sighed. Okay, I'll agree to that if you give me the unopened pills in a sealed container first. It's not that I don't trust you. You've always kept your word, but the possibility of pregnancy is a big deal for me. I hope you understand. Honestly, I don't like those any more than you do. Darling, I wouldn't expect anything less from you. You will have the pills before we start. You have my promise. She smiled at him, feeling a thrill as the moment unfolded. So far, so good. There are just 2 more things we need to discuss, and they are very important to me. First, no noises from either of us when we're on the phone with our spouses. That goes without saying. Neither of us wants to put our marriages at risk. And the second matter? You said you wanted me to follow your lead, and I'm fine with that physically. But on an emotional level, it's different. What do you mean? I mean, I won't say anything negative about Wayne during our time together. For example, if you ask me to say that I prefer you over him, I can't do that. I will never speak badly of him. I wouldn't want you to speak poorly of Andrea either. I don't enjoy that kind of disrespect. I understand what you mean, and I agree with you. There's no reason for either of us to mention our spouses during our time together. However, I do love role-playing. It helps me get into a different mindset and enjoy the experience even more. How about this? If I promise not to ask you to say Wayne's name, would you be okay with using the term my husband for our pretend play? I could use my wife, too. You could think of it as just a general term and not specifically about your husband, Wayne, but a made-up husband for fun. Would that work for you? She thought about this and found some sense in it. Even though she didn't want to use the term my husband at all during their pretend moments, she figured she could manage it for the sake of the role play. After all, pretend play is just that, pretend. So yes, she could accept that and told him so. Let me get this straight. So if we both agree to everything we've talked about so far, then we can do anything else too? Is that right? Angie paused to think. She couldn't come up with anything else that should be off limits. Yes, that's right, she replied. But I want you to know, Gabe, that I wouldn't have gone along with your ideas if it weren't to help Wayne with his job. I really don't want to do this, but I want to do everything I can to help him succeed. It's my way of supporting him. But I can't say I won't enjoy it or look forward to it. We have a deal then. I'm so happy. We're going to have a great time. You'll see. This will be fun. All right then. When and how do we do this? Later that Friday evening, Wayne came home to the smell of his favorite meal being made, chicken and dumplings. It wasn't an expensive dish, but it was made with love, just like his grandmother used to make from scratch. He didn't eat it often, so he appreciated it even more when he did. Hi, sweetheart. Chicken and dumplings? What's the occasion? Did I forget my birthday or something? Don't be silly. I just realized I haven't made this for you in a while, and I thought it would be a nice surprise instead of waiting for you to ask. Can I do something special for my husband? Of course you can. You can make this for me any time. I can't wait for that first bite. I'm going to jump in the shower while you finish cooking. I'll be back soon. Wayne kissed her warmly, showing his appreciation for her thoughtfulness, and then headed for the shower. During dinner, they chatted about their day, catching up on what happened. Wayne noticed that Angie seemed a bit distant and lost in thought. She clearly had something on her mind, but he had no idea what it was. She finally shared her thoughts with him. "Sweetie, do you remember Erica, my college roommate and one of my bridesmaids?" "Yes, I remember her. Isn't she the one who always has a sarcastic take on everything? Seems like she can't find the good in anything or anyone?" "Yes, that's her, but I don't see her that way. She's really nice to me, and she treated you well too, if I remember." "Sure, but I think she was nice to me just because of you. Anyway, why are you bringing her up?" "Well, she got my work number from Mom and called me today out of the blue. She said she's been feeling lonely since recently ending a bad relationship. She moved to Asheville, which is only about a 20-minute drive from my mom's place, and she started a new job at an art studio. It was nice to catch up with her. Good for her. If she split from the guy she brought to the wedding, that's for the best. He didn't treat her well, as I recall, although, given her attitude, I can see why he might have struggled with her. Now be nice, dear. Anyway, she's been feeling down and isolated since the breakup, and she wants me to spend a long weekend with her. She mentioned there's a big art show next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and she hopes I can help her feel better. I suggested that you and I could go together for a getaway, but we both know you're not really into art, and she's aware that you're not keen on hanging out with her either." He noticed that while she spoke, she didn't look him in the eye. Instead, she focused on the table or fiddled with her food, seeming a bit uneasy. Wayne recalled the last time she acted like that, it was when she wasn't honest with him right in front of Gabe. Something felt off, but he decided not to let her know what he was thinking. So he asked, "Where would you be staying at night? With Erica or at your mom's place? You know we haven't visited your mom for a while, mainly since she lives over 3 hours away. I'm sure she'd love to see you, especially for 3 days." "Well, actually, I was thinking of 3 days and 3 nights. I plan to leave after work on Thursday and drive to Mom's that night, if that's okay with you. Then I'd have 3 full days to spend with Erica and help her feel better. I'd leave her place around 6 p.m. on Sunday and come back here, just in time to enjoy some time together after being apart for so long." He watched her carefully. Even though she was talking about being close to him, she still seemed off, as if she wasn't really looking forward to it at all. He saw no signs of warmth or playfulness from her, just empty words. If his doubts had been quiet for a while, they were now fully awake. He strongly felt that she was trying to mislead him in some way, or even lying. Why was unclear to him, but he suspected it had something to do with Gabriel. Wayne thought that Angie preferred her mother's support because she acted as if Wayne was not enough for her daughter, since his job didn't pay as well as hers. A piece of the puzzle clicked in his mind. He also sensed that Erica was caught in the middle, as they didn't get along well. Angie probably believed he wouldn't check her story, knowing who he would have to ask for any truth. He decided to think carefully before voicing any concerns. "Okay, if you really want to go, it's fine. I can give you a few days to help Erica," he replied, wanting to see how available she would be to him. "So, if I needed to talk to you while you're away, should I call your mom or Erica? Since I won't get to my mom's until late, I don't want to wake her if she's asleep. While I'm with Erica, we might be at some fancy events, and we may have our phones off to avoid interruptions like they ask in movie theaters. So it's best if you call my cell whenever you want to reach me. I'll try to keep it on as much as I can, and I promise I'll call you every night before bed. Would that be okay?" "Sure," he replied, feeling uneasy. Something about her answers felt off, as if she was preparing him for her not being available at times. Something was definitely wrong, and he needed to find out what it was. To ease her own guilt and shift Wayne's focus, Angie tried to be more intimate with him every night. She was more eager than usual, but it only made his suspicions grow. 3 times that week after she fell asleep, he quietly got out of bed to check her phone for clues about her behavior. Her call and text records from the last month had not been erased, but there were no messages or calls to or from Gabriel, her mother, or Erica. That was definitely strange. There should have been at least one message. This made him think that all her communications were happening at work. Unease crept over him. Wayne felt more worried about his marriage than ever before. He sensed that Angie was hiding something and not telling him the truth. But what was it? He needed more clues, but wasn't sure how to find them. Angie never seemed to let anything slip and acted normal. He thought she would talk a lot about her upcoming trip, but she didn't mention it at all unless he asked. This was very unusual for her. He wanted to discuss his suspicions with Andrea, but he didn't want to feel foolish if he was wrong. So he decided to wait until he had solid proof before confronting her. On Thursday morning, Wayne woke up suddenly at 5 a.m. He felt uneasy but couldn't figure out why. An idea finally came to him, and he decided to act. He got up early, had breakfast out, and went to work early. While eating, he sent Angie a short text. "Called into work early. I'll miss you. Have a safe trip." She wouldn't see it until she got up, and he wouldn't reply to any calls or texts from her until after work. This way, he hoped to avoid hearing any more of her lies, and they wouldn't have their usual goodbye. Angie was already packed for her trip and would leave for her destination right after work. He hoped to make her think twice about whatever she was planning. When Angie's alarm went off, she got up and looked around. Wayne wasn't in bed. She called for him but got no reply. After using the bathroom, she checked the entire house, but he was nowhere to be found. When she saw Wayne's text on her phone, she found it strange. If he was called in early, why didn't she hear his phone? That was odd. And why didn't he end his message with something sweet? He usually did that. She tried calling him, but it went straight to voicemail. So she sent a reply. "Missed you this morning, sweetie. Sorry you had to work early. Please call me as soon as you can. I love you." Feeling uneasy, she got ready and left for work. Wayne waited until his mid-morning break to make his first call. "Good morning, Carolyn. This is Wayne. How are you today?" "Wayne? Is everything okay? Is Angela all right?" "Oh no, nothing's wrong. She's fine, I promise. But she's the reason for my call. Since it's summer, she was looking for her favorite open-toed sandals. She searched everywhere, but she can't find them." It suddenly hit me that she might have forgotten her sandals at your house when we visited last. She wouldn't want to buy a new pair if her old ones are still there. Could you check under the bed we slept in and see if they are there? It would really help her relax. Are you talking about her sandals? Yes, I remember them. Let me put the phone down for a second and go check. No, they're not here. I'm sorry. That's all right, Carolyn. I really appreciate you looking. By the way, while I have you on the phone, Angie reminded me that it's been a while since we came to see you. We were thinking about visiting before summer ends if you're open to it. You're right, Wayne. It has been quite some time, and I miss my baby girl. Please tell her I would love a visit any time you can come. Just give me a day or two notice so I can tidy up and get some extra food. It's been a couple of weeks since I heard from her, too. Make sure she knows I'm just a phone call away. Of course, Carolyn, I'll let her know. Look, I need to get going now, but thanks for checking for her sandals. I might just surprise her with a new pair myself. Take care. We both love you. Bye. Wayne thought to himself, I was right. She was not honest with me. Again. If her mom knew her daughter would be at her house in Asheville tonight, she would have told me, this is serious, and now alarm bells are ringing in my head. If she isn't going to her mom's, then where is she going? Who is she with? And what will she be doing for 3.5 days? This doesn't look good. His frustration grew as he thought about the possible outcomes. He considered confronting her about what he knew, but decided against it because it would only make her sneakier and harder to catch. If she's going to be unfaithful, I need to find out for sure, one way or another. Fridays were usually lighter for them at work because it was mostly about finishing up tasks and wrapping things up. This was helpful because Wayne struggled to focus all day. He had turned off his cell phone on purpose to annoy Angie or maybe worry her a little. He noticed Gabe talking to his supervisor, Harold, for a moment. Gabe was looking directly at Wayne while speaking to Harold. Does he know something I don't? Wayne wondered to himself. After Gabe returned upstairs, Wayne walked over to Harold's office nearby on the manufacturing floor. Trying to gather some information, Wayne asked, Hey, Harold, I just saw the boss come down. Is there something going on that I can help with? No, it's nothing to do with you, Harold replied, glancing down at his feet as he shuffled them. He was just checking on how things were going for the day. Everything seemed fine. Are you about done with your last task for the day? Yeah, I should be finished in about half an hour. Then I have to clean the machine, and that will be it for me today. Sounds good. I'm going to check on a few others to make sure we can pass everything smoothly to the next shift. As Wayne headed back to his spot, he realized that Harold had not been honest with him again. Whatever Gabe discussed with him probably had to do with Wayne, but he was told to keep quiet about it. Wayne figured Gabe must have been asking what time he came into work today. If that were true, It meant that Gabe had already talked to Angie and knew Wayne had not started early. Good. Let them wonder. Wayne picked up some fast food and then drove to a street near his house. He parked where he could see the front of his house, but where he wouldn't be noticed. While eating his sandwich, Angie pulled up in front of their house, just like he expected. She must have hurried home from her job. She would definitely notice he wasn't home yet. After sitting in her car for a few minutes, she called him on her phone, probably looking for him. She should be worried about leaving without saying goodbye. He wondered why she cared, especially since she was hiding things from him. He was not going to give her the satisfaction of thinking her plan was working perfectly. A few minutes later, she drove off, looking quite upset. Good. He finished his meal and waited a bit longer before heading home alone. He knew she had her phone on since he just saw her trying to reach him. Now, he moved to the most important part of his plan. He opened the phone tracking app they had both installed when they got their phones. At first, using the app seemed new and different, but they had not needed it for a while. Hopefully, she had forgotten about it. When he checked her phone at night for messages, he saw the app was still there and active. Great! He found out she was driving toward the highways. He turned his phone off and decided to take a shower and shave. There was no telling what might happen next. Angie felt upset that she couldn't reach Wayne before leaving town. It was unusual for him to be unavailable like this. She had hoped to reach him at work during the day, but she didn't really expect to. The company had strict rules about personal calls on the job, so he probably turned his phone off to save battery. Gabe had confirmed he was at work, but found it strange that Wayne claimed to be called in early. Wayne's manager, Harold, said he had clocked in at his usual time. Angie didn't want to leave without at least talking to him to say how much she cared. She loved him very much, which is why she stopped by their house before leaving, hoping to catch him for a quick kiss. She worried that he must have gone out with co-workers for a meal since he expected her to be gone and likely forgot to turn his phone back on. She assured herself of this and promised to call him later that night. After showering and changing into clean clothes, Wayne checked the phone tracker again. She was on I-40, but instead of heading west toward Asheville, she was going east. The hurt from her lies mixed with his anger. Curiosity filled him about what was happening. He still planned to follow her to find out the truth, so he grabbed his phone charger and jumped in his car, making sure his battery wouldn't die. He believed he was about 30 minutes behind her, but planned to drive faster. Wayne had been following her for almost an hour when he saw her exit toward Raleigh, which puzzled him since he didn't know anyone she might be visiting there. With more questions racing through his mind, he sped up. 15 minutes later, he noticed her slowing down and decided to pull off at the next exit to keep an eye on her. After some turns, likely in a parking lot, her phone finally stopped moving. He quickly found out her phone was now inside the Plaza Hotel and Conference Center. He saved the hotel's contact information and continued to the destination, keeping the tracker on in case anything changed. Soon, however, her phone seemed to disappear, as if it had been turned off. When he arrived at the hotel, Wayne slowly drove through the parking lot, searching for his wife's car. It didn't take him long to spot it. A chill went down his spine as his fears began to feel real. He hesitated before going inside, not wanting to be seen by her or the person she might be meeting. He needed more information, so he called the hotel front desk. "Hello, my sister told me she would be checking in this evening. Can you please confirm that? Her name is Angela Van Story." "Just a moment. I'm sorry, sir, but we don't have any guest checked in under that name." "Well, she might have come with her husband. Could you check for Mr. and Mrs. Gabriel Weston?" "Just a moment, please. Yes, sir. Your sister and her husband checked in about 20 minutes ago." "Thank you very much. Have a great day." "Our pleasure. Goodbye." Wayne felt like his world had just crumbled. Even though he had suspected something was wrong, the truth hit him hard. He sat in his car for about 10 minutes, crying for what he had lost: his partner, his wife, and his marriage. There were no more doubts. The reality was clear. Life as he knew it was now over. Wayne made another call, hoping to share his pain with someone who understood. "Hello, Mrs. Weston? Andrea?" "Yes. This is Wayne Van Story." "I remember you well, Wayne. How are things between you and Angie lately?" "I'll explain that in a moment. First, can you tell me where your husband Gabe is right now?" Yes, he's attending a seminar in Raleigh for work. Why do you ask? Part of what he said is true and part of it isn't. What do you know, Wayne? What's happening? I'm sitting in the parking lot of the Plaza Hotel in Raleigh. My wife is here, even though she told me she would be in Asheville all weekend with a friend. The front desk confirmed that Mr. and Mrs. Gabriel Weston have checked in. Do you have any idea what that means, Andrea? That lying jerk! I'm so sorry, Wayne. This must be so hard for you. I remember how devastated I felt when he did this to me. Just stay where you are. I have ways to help us both. I'm on my way and will be there soon. Keep your phone on, but only answer calls from me. Got it? Understood. I'm really sorry too, Andrea. You deserve better than this. Why do bad things happen to good people? I know, Wayne. Just hang in there. I'll be there before you know it. Stay hidden and don't let them see you if they come out together. Okay. I'll drive to the back lot and walk back, staying out of sight and watching the entrance. That sounds good. Perfect. But don't leave the hotel no matter what. Promise me, okay? I promise. Great. See you soon. Bye. Not long after they settled into their hotel room as a married couple, Gabriel Weston motioned for Angie to be quiet. He leaned close and whispered, "Give me your phone, and I'll give you mine." She handed it over, looking nervous. He took the battery out of her phone and asked her to do the same with his. Then he said, "We need to take off all our clothes right now." "But you said nothing would happen until 6 a.m. tomorrow," Angie replied, confused. Gabriel explained, "This isn't about that. We agreed that everything starts tomorrow. We've already seen each other, so just trust me this time." Reluctantly, she took off her clothes, and soon they were both undressed. Gabriel then said, "Now I'll check your clothes, and you check mine." He picked up her clothing and examined it closely. "This is just a safety measure to make sure there's nothing hidden. I once was surprised by an unexpected situation, and I don't want that to happen again. We need to be sure so we can relax and enjoy our time together. Remember, Andrea's brother is a private investigator and quite clever. You mentioned that Wayne seemed odd today and couldn't be reached before your trip. I want to be sure he or Andrea isn't suspicious. If they are, I wouldn't be surprised if Andrea's brother Victor managed to put something in our clothing or bags. Taking a few minutes to carefully check everything will be worth it." They both searched through their belongings, even taking a quick look around the room. "This room wasn't assigned to us until we checked in, so I'm sure it's safe," Gabriel reassured Angie. Finding nothing to worry about, they dressed and prepared for a fun evening together, feeling relieved that there was nothing to disturb their time. "As we agreed, let's put our wedding rings in the room safe until we check out. Also, I almost forgot," he added. "As promised, here are the morning after pills for your use." Wayne waited for Andrea to arrive as she asked him to do. While he waited, he saw Gabe leaving the hotel with his wife, Angie. They did not seem close. They weren't holding hands or being affectionate. Their behavior looked distant and almost formal. Wayne felt an urge to follow them, but he remembered his promise to Andrea to stay put. She must have her reasons. Instead of the hour and a half that Wayne expected, Andrea arrived in just over an hour. A large black van pulled into the parking lot and quickly found him. "Wayne Van Story?" "Yes." Victor Jennings, Andrea's brother," he said, shaking Wayne's hand firmly. Andrea stepped out of the van and greeted him as well. Victor continued, "The first thing we need to do is get into their room. Are they still in the room or have they gone out?" "I don't know where they are right now. I didn't follow them when they left about 30 minutes ago because Andrea asked me to stay here," Wayne explained. "Perfect. I assume they took Gabe's car?" "Yes, my wife's car is still parked over there." "Our timing is great. Rob, you and Danny watch the 2 parking lot entrances and let me know if you see them." The 2 men nodded and went to their spots. "Sis, it's time for you to do what we practiced on the way here. Wayne and I will be right behind you, but you have to handle all the talking. Are you ready?" With a steady resolve, she nodded. "Good. Brad, go get our equipment and wait for us at the entrance." Brad quietly walked back to the van. "Wayne and I are here for you, sis. Walk in like you belong there." She smiled, squeezed his hand, turned, and headed toward the lobby with Victor and Wayne following. "Hello, young man. My name is Mrs. Andrea Weston. I believe my husband, Gabriel Weston, checked into a room here with my sister. Here is my ID." Yes, Mrs. Weston. How can I assist you?" "Did my husband leave a key for me at the desk?" No, ma'am. He looked at her with caution. But I can confirm that he's checked in with your sister. Did he register with the car license plate XBR 3794? Yes, ma'am, he did. Here is the registration for that car in my name. He usually drives his company car, but chose to drive mine this time. Mrs. Weston, I believe you are who you say you are? Great. Now, could I please have an extra key to our room? Yes, ma'am. Sure, let me help you with that. No problem. Just give me a moment to set it up for your room. She received an extra room key along with the room number. Thank you, kind sir. You've been very helpful. May I ask for one more favor? It will be worth your time. As long as it's legal, Mrs. Weston, I'll help you however I can. Here's $200 in cash to forget you ever saw or spoke to me. For you, this meeting never happened. Do we have an understanding? Absolutely, miss. Whoever you are, he said with a smile. Thank you very much for the generosity. He reached out for the cash, but she held it tightly and repeated, To the best of your memory, you will never recall having spoken to me or seen anyone here, correct? I have no idea what you're talking about, ma'am, but whoever you are, I hope you have a great day. As they left the hotel, Victor took the room key card from Andrea and said to Brad, Room 1208. Let's hurry. They might be back soon. Wayne, I think it's best if you and my sister stay in the van. Going to the room may be too upsetting for both of you. Rob, Danny, and I have walkie-talkies, so if they show up while we're inside, we'll finish quickly. Victor and Brad walked toward the elevators, pulling a suitcase behind them. They looked like normal guests checking in. Wayne reluctantly took Andrea back to the van and helped her into a seat. Overwhelmed by thoughts of his broken marriage, he managed to keep from sobbing in front of Andrea, but tears flowed freely down his face. Wayne, I know it sounds like a cliché, but I truly understand what you're going through. I've shared some of my story with you. Trust me, it will get better, but it will take time. There's no easy way to deal with betrayal. Gabe hurt me deeply the first time I found out. I honestly thought I wouldn't make it through the pain. My world felt shattered. But for the sake of our 2 children, I pushed through, went to counseling with him, and we eventually improved. Not perfectly, but better. However, after he was caught a second time, I felt more anger than hurt. You wouldn't believe the challenges I put him through before I let him come home again for our children's sake. Now it's his 3rd chance, and he's really out. There's nothing he can say or do that will make me give him another chance. We're done. I feel the same way about Angie as you do now about Gabe. I'm glad we don't have kids, so she can't use that against me. I really trusted her, and now that trust is completely shattered. There's no going back for me. We're done. The hurt of being betrayed is overwhelming. How do you cope with it? I'm not a drinker, so I can't just go out and get wasted. I need to find a way to feel better. I understand, Wayne. I really do, she said, gently touching his face. Here, she continued, searching her purse. I have some Valium pills left over from a prescription. You need them more than I do, so let me share them with you. They won't take away the pain, but they might help you manage it better. Just follow the instructions on the bottle, and I hope they help. Thank you, Andrea. Just knowing I'm not alone in this makes a difference. We're both going through divorces, and I know it won't be easy. Let's keep in touch and support each other during this tough time. Feel free to call me anytime, day or night. I promise to be here for you, whatever you need. I know we have a limited number of people we can talk to about this, and I want to be one of your friends. I feel the same way, Wayne. You have my number, and I want to help. You can't inconvenience me, and I'll be there for you anytime. Not long after that, Victor and Brad returned to the van. Victor used the walkie-talkie to call the other 2 men back in. All right, we're set for now. We've got live audio and video from inside their room. Brad has made it possible for the feeds to go to our cloud using their wireless network. Write it down, Brad. Brad started jotting notes on the back of a business card. Don't worry, Victor added. The feed is secure, so no one at the hotel will see what's happening live. Brad's writing down the link to our cloud server. The password is Andrea Wayne, which gives you a direct view of everything in that room. There's also a link at the top of the page that lets you download videos every 24 hours. A normal day might need almost a terabyte of space for that day's recording, so if you want to save them, it's a good idea to buy 3 1-terabyte external hard drives. Make your decision quickly because I will delete the original files after saving them for Andrea. What we're doing isn't really allowed in court, But that's not our main concern right now. What Andrea wants is clear proof that her partner has been unfaithful, and we can help her find that easily. I really want her to get away from that deceitful person. One more thing, Victor said. You might think about leaving a surprise in Angie's car, something that would upset her and show her you were there. My advice, don't do that. Even if it seems like a good idea, it would take away your advantage. Right now, you and Andrea have the upper hand as long as they don't know you are aware of what's happening. This allows you to make plans and prepare for a possible divorce if that's the path you're on. I'm doing this to help my sister, so there's no cost for her. Because of how hurt you must feel, she asked me not to charge you either, so you won't get a bill. You can thank her for that. Wayne nodded gratefully at Andrea, who was smiling. Do you know when they might leave? Victor asked. I remember her saying she'd be leaving her friend's house by 6 p.m. on Sunday, Wayne replied. 6 p.m.? Hotels usually want guests to check out between 10 a.m. and noon. If they're not leaving until 6 p.m., they will have paid for the room until Sunday night. They will likely just leave the keys behind and head home. Wayne, I want you back here by 5 p.m. on Sunday to watch the front door. When you see them leave, take this room key and get the camera and microphone we placed above the mirror. That decorative piece above the mirror was a perfect spot for it. They will never know we've hidden a camera there, I promise you, Andrea. One last piece of advice, Wayne, Victor continued. If you think there might be a chance to fix things with your wife, don't watch the video. Once you see it, there's no turning back, especially if it's live. Now I'll take Andrea and the guys back home. I'll drop you off at your car. Drive safely and think carefully about your next steps. Victor, I can't thank you, Andrea, and your great team enough for what you're doing, Wayne said. I'll also take your advice to heart. As he stepped out of the van, he gave Andrea a friendly kiss on the cheek. You know what? Gabe is the biggest fool on earth. I can't understand how a man could be unfaithful to someone as kind as you. Touched by his words, Andrea felt tears in her eyes and smiled back at him. Her calmness was about to slip away. Because Raleigh had more than 3 major universities, it offered many places to eat and even some that had dancing. That was why Gabe chose this city for a getaway with Angie. He wanted to treat her and enjoy their long weekend together. He believed he could give her everything she wanted. Even if he knew this wouldn't change anything for the future, he hoped she might enjoy their time together so much that she'd want to keep seeing him. He took her to the Glass Slipper, a fancy restaurant downtown that had delicious dishes and live music, plus a dance floor. It was the perfect place to set a good mood before their time together officially began the next morning. They enjoyed a great meal and lively music as they talked about what was on their minds. You're not still worried about Wayne, are you, Angie? I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel a little worried. It's just unusual for him to ignore me like he seems to today. He didn't say a word, or give me a hug or kiss before I left to come here. But he isn't shy, is he? We both have our phones with us so he can call or text you any time. If he had any big concerns, he would have let you know. I'm sure he's just busy or caught up with something. Your worries are probably worse because you're here this weekend. Try to relax and enjoy yourself. When we get back to the room, you can call him. You said he's waiting to hear from you tonight, right? She nodded. Then he will likely be at home with his phone ready for your call. If you're tense or worried when you talk to him, he might notice and feel uneasy. You want him to think you had a fun night with your mother and are looking forward to spending time with your friend Erica for the next few days. You could even tell him how great Erica described the art shows for this weekend. When he sees you're happy and having a good time, he'll feel relaxed and happy for you as well. Then you can ask him why you didn't hear from him today and see what he says. Simple as that. I know you're right, Gabe. He can read me easily just like I can understand him. He could sense my nerves from far away. She sighed. Okay, no more being scared. This meal you're treating me to is wonderful, and I can't wait to dance. Since we won't be getting too close tonight, dancing will help me relax and leave me feeling good when we get back to our room. How did you get to be so wise? Hanging around you, my dear. He chuckled. You're so funny. I do have to admit I'm a little nervous about this weekend, especially since Wayne isn't around. I hope you don't mind me asking again if I agree to spend the weekend with you. Then you promise me that Wayne will get that promotion we talked about, right? It'll be certain? She asked shyly. We wouldn't be here if I hadn't already shown you I keep my promises. As you know, I always follow through. If you meet my expectations over the next 3 days, then Wayne will definitely be promoted first thing Monday morning. Mr. Hyatt is ready to make that announcement and will support Wayne's promotion completely if that's the name I give him. So, dear, it's all in your hands now. Angie smiled and winked. By the time we're done, you may find it hard to walk to your car on Sunday evening. I look forward to such joyful tiredness. Now that we've addressed your concerns, maybe it's a good time to go over a few details for the weekend. Oh? Nothing big, just some little things to make sure we're both clear. Like what? First, we haven't really talked about where we'll sleep tonight. I want you to know I plan to be a perfect gentleman. Just as we agreed to act like friends in public, I think we should do the same when we return to our room. I won't hold you or kiss you tonight. In fact, it might be best to wear our regular clothes to help with that. No changing until after 6 a.m. tomorrow. Knowing this should help you feel relaxed with no worries tonight when you talk to him. Does that sound like a good plan to you? What a thoughtful gentleman. Thank you, Gabe. I already feel better, almost as if the stress is leaving my body. She picked up her glass and raised it toward him. To friends. To friends, he replied. Now that that's settled, there's one more thing I'd like to mention so there are no surprises tomorrow. We should try to get to sleep before midnight because I might start things early in the morning and I want you to be well rested. Also, I mentioned something about role-playing before, right? She nodded again. Well, I want you to know that the role-playing will be very important to me this weekend. It's important for me because if I have to guide you through everything, it might take away from the fun. I want it to be as special as possible. While we role-play, I want us to act like two people on a honeymoon who are fully enjoying each other. I know you don't really love me, but that's not the main point. I want to create the feeling of being your ideal partner during our time together. I see, but how will this work if you want something specific from me but don't want to tell me what to do? I'm a bit confused. I'm glad you asked. I have a plan. Throughout the day, we will go in and out of our room for meals and other activities. This way, we won't feel stuck in the room all the time. While we are out, I will give you an envelope with a short set of instructions for our role-playing session. Please don't open it in front of me. Instead, when you get a moment to yourself, you can look it over and get familiar with what I have in mind. Once we return to the room, I won't have to say much about what to do. Sometimes we might not even need to speak at all. Other times, there might be some things you need to say, but everything will be easy to understand. I promise it won't be complicated. I want our time together to feel natural and enjoyable, as if we were really celebrating something special. Does that sound good? Wow! I really shouldn't be surprised, especially after you acted so smooth when we checked into the room. You think of everything, don't you? I'm not saying I'll be perfect, but I promise I'll do my best for you. I don't think of myself as a great actress, but I know how to have a good time. I've already agreed to spend the weekend with you, so your wishes are my priority, Master. From tomorrow morning until Sunday evening, I am completely yours. Great, you're amazing, he said, giving her the first envelope. She quietly put it in her purse for later. Gabe continued, let's enjoy every moment together. Speaking of which, may I have the pleasure of a dance with you? Of course, I would love that. Please lead. As they danced, Gabe kept his hands in appropriate places, and Angie said, I'm glad we decided to check in tonight. Otherwise, I would have had to wake up at 3 a.m. to get ready and arrive early. Exactly, he replied. This way, we can both be rested and ready to start in the morning. How about we head back to our room around 10:30 tonight? I'll prepare for bed in the bathroom, giving you some privacy to call your husband. When you're done, we can switch, and I'll call my wife too. I'll keep quiet while you're on the phone with him. After having a few drinks, Angie went to the restroom. While she was there, she decided to look at the notes from Gabe. She found it odd to prepare this way for a romantic weekend, but Gabe was different from anyone she had met, and so far, she was happy with him. Though she hadn't done much role-playing before, she was excited to try something new with this attractive man. She wished she didn't have to do this for Wayne's career, but he would never know, and after this weekend, there wouldn't be any more moments like this with Gabe, so she wanted to enjoy it. The instructions were typed and read. Angela, my dear, you are my dream come true. Though our time starts at 6 a.m., please follow these instructions once we return from breakfast. If you're not hungry, that's fine. You can just have coffee or juice with me. Do not mention these instructions to me. Just read, remember, and follow them. Once you know them well, get rid of them without me seeing. Everything should seem spontaneous. After we got back to our room in the morning, we barely spoke. I wanted you to try your best to beat my record. I would lie on the bed and you could tell me how to position myself. Once I was placed just right, you could begin your task. As soon as you touched me, I would start a timer. The moment I felt pleasure, I would stop it. After you were done, we would see how your time compared to my best experience. I hoped you would do even better than before. I shared these instructions early so you would have enough time to think. How you approached this was entirely up to you. I was excited and wished you luck. The instructions were simple and easy to remember. After reading them a few times for clarity, she crumpled them up and threw them away in the ladies' room before returning to her table with Gabe. When Wayne left the hotel parking lot, he almost left a trace of himself in Angie's car, but he decided to be careful, following Victor's advice. He noticed a big store near the highway and went in to buy 3 1-terabyte external hard drives as Victor suggested, then drove home. Once home, he felt anxious as he typed in the internet link Brad had given him to watch the live feed from what he suspected was the couple's hotel room. He was relieved when the password worked, giving him a clear view. The room was dimly lit, and the bed was neatly made with no signs of movement. Wayne was impressed by the clarity. It seemed to be a high-resolution camera with a wide-angle lens, showing much of the room. It appeared to be mounted high on the wall opposite the bed. He guessed the couple hadn't come back from their night out yet, so he turned on his phone to check 5 messages and 3 voicemails from Angie. Each one showed her growing worry about him. He nearly forgot he needed to come up with a reason for being unavailable when she called later, so he focused on finding a good excuse. Wayne had the news playing softly on the TV, but kept glancing at the computer screen, waiting for the couple to return. He didn't want to see his wife being unfaithful, but still, he couldn't tear his eyes away from the screen. Around 10:35 p.m., Wayne noticed the door close, and both Angie and Gabe came into view. He expected them to greet each other warmly, but there was nothing of the sort. Angie headed to the bathroom while Gabe rummaged through his suitcase for some toiletries and clean clothes. A few moments later, Angie came back, and Gabe entered the bathroom, closing the door behind him. They didn't say a word, which struck Wayne as unusual. Was he misunderstanding their actions? Maybe they were just getting ready for bed. Angie then took out her phone, sat at the edge of the bed, and dialed a number. Moments later, Wayne's phone rang. It was her. He felt a mix of disbelief and curiosity as he answered. "Hi, babe. How's your trip? Did you get to your mother's okay?" "Yes, sweetie. It's so nice to hear from you." "I know, and I'm really sorry. I had put my phone on silent while driving so I wouldn't get distracted, but later I turned it off to save battery and forgot to take it off silent. I texted you wishing you a safe trip, but since I knew you were going from work, I didn't expect you to call until later. I'm sorry if I worried you." Wayne watched her smile and relax. "Of course I forgive you. I was just a bit worried. Mom said you likely had a good reason." He felt a wave of bitterness as he listened to his wife's lies while she was in a hotel room with another man. Victor had told him that her not knowing he was aware of her betrayal worked to his advantage, so he pushed aside his feelings and pretended everything was fine. When he asked to speak with her mother, she said she was in the shower. They talked for a few more minutes before hanging up, and he almost stumbled over saying, "I love you." She promised to call again tomorrow around the same time. Then the situation shifted. Angie spent time in the bathroom while Gabe, still in his boxers, called someone named Andrea. Their conversation was just as full of untruths as his was with Angie. Not long after, Angie came back wearing comfortable clothes. They both climbed into bed and turned on the TV. Nothing seemed interesting to them, so he switched off the TV after a few minutes of searching channels. It was strange how relaxed my wife looked lying in bed with my boss, who was also married, as if nothing was wrong. Finally, I heard him say, "Sleep well, my dear. Morning will come fast." "Good night," she replied. Then he turned off the lights, and the room became dark. I couldn't help but think this made things clearer. They planned to wait until 6 a.m. for whatever they were up to. I knew I needed to talk to Andrea. "Did you see that?" I asked her. "I sure did. Looks like they won't start until morning. It's odd. Why not just take advantage of the night? They are in bed, yet not being close. Wrong on so many levels. Did you take one of those pills? I asked. Yes, I did. It doesn't fully stop the pain, but it helps me cope. Thanks again, Andrea. Your support means a lot. Anytime. I guess we will have to wait until morning to see what happens. I'm thinking about calling in sick tomorrow and staying home to watch them. That might not be a great idea. What if someone from work calls and tells Gabe you're not there? We need to let them dig their own hole. If we intervene now, it might make it harder to prove things later. Plus, you'll have a record of everything that happens. I didn't think of that. You're absolutely right. I have to act as if I'm clueless. I'll have all weekend to observe and gather more evidence. Thanks for the advice, Andrea. How about I meet you at the back exit around noon tomorrow and take you out for lunch? My treat. This way we can catch up. Lunch tomorrow sounds perfect, but one condition: it's my turn to pay wherever we go. Deal? Deal, she replied with a light laugh. Wayne left just before noon, and Andrea was already waiting for him. She waved, and he joined her in the car. She drove them to a cozy family diner about 10 minutes away. They made small talk for a while, avoiding the main issue until after they had ordered their meals. Finally, Andrea gently placed her hand on his and said, I'm sorry, Wayne. It's even worse than we thought. It seems like they've been together many times before. It doesn't feel like their first time at all. They've just been good at hiding it, that's all. Tears rolled down his face as he took in this hard truth. I knew there had to be another reason, but hearing it just adds to the pain of their betrayal. I've been thinking about if I wasn't a good partner or husband. But if she is just pretending to care for me, then she deserves an award for acting. I just don't understand, Andrea. Maybe I'm just not enough for her. It's not your fault, I promise you. It's not you. And I don't believe he is unfaithful because I am lacking either. I have always accepted his advances and been there for him. I really think it's an addiction for him, and his connection with Angie is just his latest escape. He's charming and could win over any woman he wanted. I'm not saying Angie is innocent. She could have stopped him and should have, but she didn't. I have a meeting with my lawyer tomorrow morning. I know it's a Saturday, but she is a family friend. I'm not sure what you're thinking, but now that I have proof, I'm moving forward with the divorce. I talked to her about you, and if you're serious about leaving Angie, she can give us a discount since we are both filing. She believes we have a strong case. He inhaled deeply and released a breath. You're right that I want to end things with her. There's no other way to describe what she's doing, and I won't allow her to keep acting like this while we're still married. She will have to face the results of her choices. I'll be there tomorrow if that's okay. I thought you might. I know it must have been hard for you to work and not know what was happening. Trust me, you're better off hearing it from me. Seeing them together really hurt. I would suggest not to watch it, but I know you'll want to. Just to let you know, nothing happens until 6 this morning, at least not on that front. Angie gets up briefly, but that's it. Knowing that could save you some time. You're right. I need to witness things myself, no matter how tough it is to see. You might be correct about something else, too. I've noticed Harold has been more attentive to me today, asking about my work in a way he normally doesn't. I think he is just trying to gauge how I'm feeling. But I've stayed focused on my tasks, trying to finish as much as I can. Today might be my last day there. I can't keep working under the man who is involved with my wife. I understand you're upset, Wayne. This is your career, and you need to make thoughtful decisions, not just react. Once this information comes out, there's a chance he could lose his job, and then you might not have to deal with him for much longer, if at all. I appreciate your advice, and I've been thinking about this too. Even if they fire your husband, Harold knows what's happening. I just know it. If he knows, soon everyone could find out, and I wouldn't be able to work there with everyone aware that my wife was involved with the boss. Saying it out loud helps me see things more clearly. Today is my last day, but I won't quit just yet. I want to keep things under wraps a little longer. We need time to prepare. What time can I pick you up in the morning for breakfast before we go to your lawyer's office? I'm sure we'll have a lot to go over by then. She smiled at his determination and admired him for staying calm. Curious about his thoughts, she suggested, How about I'm ready by 8:15 in the morning, but don't come unless I tell you to? She laughed. We should get you back to work before Harold notices anything unusual. At the end of his workday, as Wayne was getting ready to leave, Harold suddenly appeared and asked what his plans were for the weekend since Angie was away. Wayne found this odd because he hadn't mentioned his wife being gone to anyone, especially Harold. He simply replied, "I'm thinking of catching up with some true friends this weekend," knowing that being vague would intrigue Harold without giving him real information to share with Gabe. Once home, he accessed the hotel room camera feed. The room looked empty and the bed was made, so room service had likely already come by. He considered making something to eat but felt his appetite slipping away. He connected one of the new external hard drives to download everything he had gathered when his phone rang. "Hi, Andrea. It's been a while. I just got home. How are you?" He heard sniffles and quiet sobs. "Oh, Wayne, I'm struggling. A neighbor invited my 2 girls over for a sleepover tonight. They're so excited to watch Harry Potter movies and go to the water park tomorrow, and I won't see them until tomorrow night. This was short notice, and I was counting on them being here to help me feel grounded. Now that they're gone, I feel lost." "I completely understand, Andrea. I understand that you must feel very sad right now, but I promise I'm here for you completely. How can I help? I will do anything for you." "That's so nice of you to say. What could she possibly be thinking? You've told me I'm a kind person, and here you are being so kind, too. I don't know what to do. I just know I don't want to be alone tonight, and I don't want to sit here and watch everything fall apart on my screen. I can't stand it anymore, and I really think you should avoid it, too. I know they're not around, and it's making me feel worse. I hope it's okay to ask, but could you maybe take me out to dinner and a movie tonight? I really can't be alone right now. I need your company more than you know." She spoke softly, tears in her voice. Despite feeling sad himself, knowing his own world was changing too, he felt even more determined to help her. He had promised to support her, and that's exactly what he intended to do. "Andrea, you will never be alone if I can help it. I meant what I said, and I'm so glad you called me. It would be an honor to take such a wonderful woman like you out tonight. Just give me 45 minutes to get ready, and I'll be right over." "Make it an hour. You know how it is," she laughed a little. "An hour it is," he replied, and she could almost hear him smiling. They went to a nice restaurant, taking their time. They both needed that moment away from their worries. Andrea was doing her best to keep Wayne distracted from the sad things around them, and it was working. Instead of going to the movie, they decided to go dancing. They felt that being together, close to each other, would help them forget their troubles for a while. Several men asked Andrea to dance, but she kindly declined. She wanted to focus on Wayne, just as he was focusing on her. Wayne felt drawn to her warmth, kindness, and natural beauty. She wasn't like anyone else he had known. Even though she was a few years older than him, that didn't matter at all. They made a perfect pair for the evening. Being the gentleman he was, he brought her home by 10 p.m. She invited him in for coffee and some donuts they had just picked up. Wayne couldn't resist indulging in more than his share of snacks from the box on the table. As 10:30 approached, Wayne mentioned, "She might be calling soon." Andrea replied, "I know, and he'll probably call me right after. I was hoping we could face it together when they call for moral support. Would you mind staying, at least until the calls are done?" "Sure, but on one condition. I want to see her if she's in the room making the call. I'd rather see it than imagine anything. We can turn it off right after both calls are completed." Andrea nodded, but added, "Just be prepared. Seeing them earlier was really hard on me. I don't think this will be easy for you either. But remember, if they cared as much as we do, things wouldn't be this way. Let's support each other and stay focused." At 10:25, Andrea turned on her computer, which was already logged into a video link. Wayne was taken aback as he saw his wife standing at the foot of the bed with another man, holding him close. Feeling overwhelmed, he rushed to the bathroom, struggling to keep his emotions in check. Returning to Andrea's side, he felt drained, understanding now what she'd meant about the difficulty of watching. At exactly 10:30, he saw them step back as Angie picked up her phone to make a call. She seemed to be looking for messages or voicemails from Wayne, but he hadn't left any, worried his emotions might show. Andrea sat beside him, holding his hand reassuringly as they watched Angie press his speed dial number. His phone rang immediately. "Hello?" Wayne said in a flat tone. "Hi, baby, you have no idea how much I've missed you today," she said cheerfully. Wayne, feeling conflicted, struggled to respond with enthusiasm. "I can only imagine," he replied quietly. Angie continued talking about her day, but Wayne's thoughts were elsewhere, processing the complicated feelings brought on by the conversation and the situation. Gabe settled in quickly, focusing on Angie as she spoke to her husband, Wayne. Wayne felt like Gabe was trying to boost his own ego by making Wayne unknowingly feel bad about what was happening. "Angie, I'm sorry," Wayne said. "My stomach has been upset lately. I ate some Chinese food and just got sick. I hate to cut our conversation short, but I need to stay close to the bathroom tonight." Angie immediately sat up. "Honey, is it serious? Should I come home to take care of you? Just say the word and I'll be there right away." Gabe looked unhappy but stayed quiet. "No, it's not serious. I promise if it was, I would tell you. It's just a little upset stomach. I'm sure I'll feel better by morning. You enjoy your time with Erica. I wish I could be there with you instead of her. I need to find some Tums. You take care and don't do anything I wouldn't do. Bye." Then Wayne hung up quickly. Angie stared at her phone in disbelief. "What's wrong?" Gabe asked. "He says he's not feeling well, something he ate, and had to end our talk, but he never said I love you or that he misses me. He didn't say anything like that. The strangest thing he said was, 'Don't do anything I wouldn't do.'" "That's not strange," Gabe replied. "People say that all the time, jokingly. Don't read too much into it. But what if he knows something is up? If he knew anything, he would have told you. He would have. Or he might not have answered at all. But he did answer, and he said he was sick. You have to understand that as his wife." "Of course you're right. I know I'm being silly. I just miss him so much," she said wistfully. "You'll be back in his arms Sunday night, and thanks to you, the two of you will be very happy together. I promise," Gabe said cheerfully. "I was really hoping to share a special moment while you were talking to him, but it seems like that's not going to happen now. I guess I should call my other friend before we get back to what we were doing. Why don't you start? I promise I'll still enjoy myself." With that, Gabe took out his cell phone. Meanwhile, Wayne held Andrea's hand during her call. "I would deal with him if he weren't so far away. Did you hear him? He wanted her to have a moment with me to make her feel awkward. Glad I could keep that from happening. He can be tricky. He knows how to get under your skin." "Don't worry, he may be excited now, but it will fade by the time I hang up," Andrea assured him. "What are you going to say to make that happen?" he asked. "Just watch. You'll see." Then her phone rang. "Hi, Gabe. The girls aren't here tonight. They are at a sleepover with the Clelands." His excitement remained strong while Angie continued to kiss him. "Sweetheart, the conference today has been surprisingly interesting. I'm looking forward to the next 2 days even more, but enough about me. So, Mama Bear is all alone right now, huh? Why don't we play our little game over the phone? You always know how to make me feel good," he suggested. "I would love to play over the phone with you, Gabe, but are you sure you want to do that with Victor and Thelma right there with you?" "Victor? What is that annoying brother of yours doing there tonight? You know I can't stand him." "I know you can't stand him, and I know why. We don't invite them over when you're here, but I can invite my own brother and his wife over to play cards when you're not here." "No, I guess not. You know he's just not my favorite person. I can put them on the phone if you want to say hi. Would you like that?" She giggled. "No, I'll pass. So much for our phone game tonight. Thanks a lot," he replied sarcastically. It was clear that his excitement was fading, even as Angie continued to kiss him. "I'm sorry, but they're calling me back to continue our game. Was there anything else you wanted to say?" "No. You have a good time, and I will try to do the same here," he said with a grin. "Okay, bye for now," she said, hanging up quickly. Gabe looked like something had upset him. "What happened?" Angie asked. "You lost your excitement. Don't say it was because of me." "No, it isn't you. It was just the surprise of seeing him there. That annoying brother-in-law of mine, Victor, and his wife are playing cards. Thanks for trying, babe. Why don't we jump in the shower together? Tomorrow is going to be another great day." Andrea turned off the monitor and laughed. "Looks like we stopped his plans for them to have fun while talking to us, didn't we?" "Yeah, but she's still there with him and not here with me." "Yes, but remember, she chose to be there with him. We didn't have anything to do with their choices, and they will face the consequences soon enough. Believe it or not, I have some Tums and Pepto-Bismol here. Let me get some for you. I'll be right back." Don't worry about it, Andrea. My stomachache is gone. It was just the shock of seeing it for the first time, but like you say, they will pay the price for their behavior. It won't come without a cost. I noticed several tattoos on Gabe, one on his arm and others on his chest. What's that about? Oh, when he was younger, before college, Gabe was involved with a local motorcycle group. He got into some trouble for stealing, and the judge let him join a program that helped him change his life. It made him interested in going to college. He still has family in the group, though. Last I heard, his cousin is the leader. Gabe stays in touch and rides with them sometimes, but he says he doesn't get involved in anything bad. Well, he's taken something from me that I used to care about a lot. I just hope it means something to her because I can't face her again. He looked sad. Wayne, I know I might be asking too much, but could we sit on the couch and just hold each other for a bit? My 2 daughters are going to lose their father, and it's going to be hard. You'll lose your wife, too, and me as a husband. I promise I have no hidden motives or plans for anything else. We're just not like that. Please, can you do this for me? Sure, anything for you, my friend. They walked over to the couch. Andrea turned off the lights as he sat down. Then she surprised him. She laid down across his lap with her body turned toward him, resting in his arms, facing him. She pulled him close for a gentle kiss, then buried her face in his chest, starting to cry. Wayne wrapped his arms around her and softly rubbed her back, kissing the top of her head now and then. There was nothing romantic about it. They were just 2 friends sharing their sadness and comforting each other. Tears streamed down Wayne's face as he quietly mourned his loss with her. Wayne woke up suddenly and checked the time. It was 7:05 a.m. He looked down at Andrea, who was curled up and resting on his lap. She hadn't left his side. Any doubts he had about her being a good friend vanished. She truly is a good person, he thought, and deserves better than Gabe. His movement stirred her awake, and she stretched her arms, smiling up at him. "Morning," she said softly. "Thank you for helping me through the night. You're a great friend." "No, I should be thanking you. You're clever. I think you wanted to help me avoid watching everything unfold and took it upon yourself to guide me, all while needing support too. There was no trick to it. You really did help me, and I appreciate you sticking by me during such a hard time. What time is it?" "Just after 7. "Oh dear, could you stay while I shower and change?" "Then we can go to your place. You can take a shower and change there. After that, we will get the breakfast you promised me. But remember, I'm buying, and I won't take no for an answer." "Sounds good to me. While you get ready, I might have another donut or 2. I'm really hungry." She kissed him on the cheek. "I promise I won't be long." "I'll believe that when I see it," he laughed. She returned later wearing snug jeans and a red top that looked nice. His smile showed her that he appreciated her effort. After breakfast, he drove them to her lawyer's office where she introduced him to her friend, Deidre Gordon. Deidre explained the different reasons for filing for divorce in their state. Adultery, abandonment for a year or more, extreme cruelty, separation for at least 18 months, drug or alcohol addiction, long-term mental health issues, inappropriate behavior, and irreconcilable differences. Most people choose irreconcilable differences these days unless they have clear proof of adultery. I understand you both have some video evidence, right? "Kind of," Andrea replied. "We do have proof, but it wasn't collected legally." "How so?" Deidre asked. "Well, my brother Victor is a private investigator. He visited the hotel where they are still meeting right now and set up a camera in their room that sends footage to the cloud. I've seen some of what happened, and it clearly shows both of them. But I'm not sure if it's legal to use in court since we didn't ask them for permission." "Do you know how the room was booked? What name was used?" Deidre wanted to know. Wayne chimed in. "I called the front desk and found out it was booked under Mr. and Mrs. Gabriel Weston. Does that matter?" "Yes, it does," Deidre said with a smile. "You are Mrs. Gabriel Weston, so the room was technically booked in your name, too. Since you are part of the room rental, you have the right to allow surveillance in your own room. It doesn't matter if you stayed there or not. The booking is in your name, making it perfectly legal. If he or his lawyer tries to challenge this, I can ask for the hotel records to support our case. Plus," she added, "the postnup agreement he signed when you 2 got back together is very strong and clearly outlines how property and custody will be divided. So, if you want to go through with the divorce, it should be straightforward. He will receive $10,000 along with the clothes he is wearing. He could choose to fight this, but he will not win. Everything else will be yours. You will also have full custody of the girls, and he will only visit them when you agree. As for you, Mr. Van Story, this is good news. Since Andrea has proof of wrongdoing that was collected legally, she can share it with you. This means you have a strong case as well. But I assume, unlike Andrea, you do not have a post-nuptial agreement. Is that correct? That's right, Mrs. Gordon. I never thought I would be in this situation. Honestly, I am still shocked, but I am completely sure that I want to end my marriage. I heard about her past before we got married, but I thought she had changed. I was wrong. I do not want to hurt her financially. I'm not looking to cause trouble. I just want to end this chapter of my life and move on to better things. Well, with the evidence both of you mentioned, and I will need a copy of the video, it seems the judge will favor you on how to divide the assets. However, if you prefer to split everything 50-50, that is also possible. You are in control here, and she will receive what you decide. I have all the details from the forms you filled out. Since I am getting an early start and can combine a lot of the paperwork, I might have them both served by Tuesday. Andrea chimed in. Yes, Tuesday is perfect. Can they both be served at work? She looked at Wayne, who nodded. Based on availability, I can arrange for them to be served at work on Tuesday afternoon. Mr. Van Story, here is our standard recommendation for splitting assets for you to read. I will initially file for a 60-40th split in your favor. This is just a starting point, and the final split will be up to you. I suggest paying off any joint credit cards, but please do not empty any bank or retirement accounts. At this early stage of your marriage, I doubt there is much to work with unless you have received a trust or something similar. Wayne shook his head. The house we live in is a rental with an option to buy, so I will let her handle the rent if she wants to stay there. For me, it holds too many memories I want to escape from, so I am definitely moving out. Okay, then. I have what I need to get started. I will contact you if anything else arises. Until they are served on Tuesday afternoon, you have two main options. If you leave home and stay somewhere else until the papers are delivered, the surprise is lost. They will know what is coming and might cause some trouble. The other choice is to act normally around them until the papers are served. This might buy you the time you need to prepare for the divorce. It will take longer than you think to go through everything and decide what to keep and what to leave for them. But that requires acting skills you may not have. It's your choice. As hard as it is for me, I will probably act like I don't know anything until she is served, said Andrea. Whatever you choose, you both need to agree. If one of you finds out before the other, you can be sure that information will be shared quickly. Thank you, Deidre, Andrea said, hugging her friend. And handle this one with care. He's a good guy, she added.